Chapter 2046. Pei Xiaoxian was simply like a madman. He attacked as he wished without any warning. With a palm strike, countless scarlet flames formed talismans that covered the sky and rained down like a storm. It's the flame demon talisman. Disperse. Xiaochen looked at the sky full of blood talismans and fell into deep thought. These talismans were hard to defend against. After being struck, it would immediately burn the body, burn the blood, and even burn the soul. If an ordinary cultivator could release such a blood talisman, it would already be extremely frightening and difficult to deal with. However, the moment Pei Xiaoxian attacked, blood talismans filled the sky. Just looking at this made one's scalp go numb. Humph. When Rinyu snorted coldly, her hands quickly plucked the strings of the zither, creating waves of sound waves. They turned into rainbow-colored arrows that shattered the terrifying blood talismans. However, many blood talismans still fell to the ground. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter sighed softly and made a move. The sound of the flute rang out, like the sounds of nature, slowly fusing with the power of the surroundings. Space rippled like water, and the blood talismans gradually faded before vanishing completely. Comparing the two, the Tao of music. The difference between the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter and one Rinyu was immediately clear. Young Master Pei, this is the heavenly fragrance palace, and everyone here is a guest. Please don't be presumptuous. There was no joy or anger in the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter's voice. Pei Xiaoxian withdrew his hand and said with a smile, "Dear, I'm just helping you chase away the flies. I'm not being impudent. All of you guys are staring at my wife. Do you want to die?" The moment Pei Xiaoxian spoke, the smile on his face vanished. Then he glared at one Rinyu and the others with a fiendish expression. One Rinyu said indifferently, "Pei Xiaoxian, if you are going crazy, go far away. Don't be impudent in the holy daughter's residence. Others might be afraid of you, but I won't." Pei Xiaoxian smiled and said, "Haha, for the sake of pursuing my wife, you embarrassed the profound heaven-holy land. Today, I'll make you lose all your face. Let's see how you can continue acting in the future." Boom. Pei Xiaoxian roared, and a boundless scarlet flame ignited in half the sky. The flames were like painful waves, surging and surging, bringing about an impending pressure. The demonic chi on his body soared into the sky, causing the crimson flames to surge violently, causing people's hearts to tremble. The expressions of everyone below changed. This Pei Xiaoxian was truly a madman. Xiao. Suddenly, a person dashed out of the scarlet flames. With a wave of his hand, he caught all the scarlet flames in his hand. With a flip of his hand, a vast universe appeared before everyone's eyes, and the terrifying phenomenon instantly vanished. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up. The person who made a move was actually the drunkard who had driven the boat for him previously. Bloodflame Sun. The city lord had ordered that the saintess was his honored guest. "If you continue to cause trouble like this, I can only tie you up and throw you into the Peach Blossom Cove to feed the fish." A trace of fear flashed in Pei Xiaoxian's eyes. However, he felt extremely displeased in his heart. This old fellow was really ruthless. His expression kept changing, and he actually did not let go immediately. After a while, Pei Xiaoxian revealed a smile and said, "Senior Cui must be joking. I am just passing by. I did not intend to cause trouble." "Humph. You know my temper. If there is a next time, I will not waste words with you." Senior Cui snorted coldly. Then, his gaze landed on the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter. "Holy daughter, are you startled? If you are, I will chase this fellow away. It's fine. He can stay here as long as he does not attack others." Old Cui did not say anything more. He looked at the scarlet flames in his hand and said indifferently, "I'll hold on to this scarlet flame for you first. I will return it to you after you leave the city." Pei Xiaoxian waved his hand and said, "Hee. Take it. If Senior Cui can help me refine it again, I will be eternally grateful." Senior Cui ignored Pei Xiaoxian. His figure flashed, disappearing before everyone's eyes. He came quickly and left quickly as well. Iron Egg whispered, "So Sir is actually so strong." Up on the roof, Pei Xiaoxian did not care. He laughed loudly and landed beside Iron Egg. Then he patted Iron Egg's shoulder and said with a smile, "Little brother, You have pretty good taste. I'll sit beside you. Come, come, come. Everyone, continue. Pretend that I am not here. What were you all talking about earlier? Pei Xiaoxian sat down without any fear. However, this made the others feel somewhat awkward, not used to it. No one answered. However, Iron Egg remembered. He said, earlier they wanted Big Brother Xiao Chun to apologize. They said that I insulted the Holy Sun, and that Big Brother Xiao Chun did not discipline me properly. Pei Xiaoxian smiled and said, you people only know how to look down on others. Seeing that this Brother Xiao does not belong to any sect, you think that he is easy to bully. Haha. If you knew that this Brother Xiao of mine is the ruthless person who recently uprooted 80-odd Heavenly Slaughter sect branches, I wonder if you would still dare to make him apologize. What? The moment Pei Xiaoxian said that, everyone's expressions changed drastically. Countless gazes landed on Xiao Chun. So it is you. Recently, the righteous Dao and demonic Dao sects had hundreds of conflicts in the desolate sea. To think that it is all because of a mixed blood dragon who is not even a sovereign personage. How dare you? Recently, after the Heavenly Slaughter sect's branches were uprooted near Peach Blossom City, it triggered a chain reaction. No one knew who was the culprit, but the Heavenly Slaughter sect took revenge on the surrounding righteous Dao factions to vent their anger. The originally fragile balance between the righteous Dao and demonic Dao broke. The various major factions started fighting, and both sides suffered huge losses. This matter had long since spread like wildfire. However, who could have imagined that the cause was a brat who was not even a sovereign personage? Xiao Chen's expression did not change. However, he felt slightly startled in his heart. Now he finally understood why Sang said that he would only know what kind of trouble he caused after he fell in Peach Blossom City. Pei Xiaoxian paused for a moment and looked at Xiao Chen. Then he smiled and continued. Do you know why this profound Heaven's Holy Sun is here? Aside from coveting my wife's beauty, it is to mediate the conflict between the righteous Dao and demonic Dao. The Heavenly Slaughter sect's young sect master, Wang Yun, will be rushing over soon. Xiao Chen's heart sank. He had not expected such a thing to happen. Wenren carefully put away the zither, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. He looked at Xiao Chun and asked, Young Master Xiao, did you really eradicate the 80-odd strongholds of the Heavenly Slaughter sect? With such a question, it looked like what Pei Xiaoxian said was pretty close to the truth. Xiao Chun nodded and replied casually, that's right. I was the one who eradicated the Heavenly Slaughter sect's strongholds. Holy Sun Wenren, do you have any advice for me? Brat, do you know that you have caused us great trouble? How can the demonic Dao factions casually move around? Who do you think you are in this desolate sea? It is not your turn to play the hero. If the demonic Dao factions were that easy to deal with, they would have been eliminated long ago. Ridiculous. This time, 10-odd strongholds of the Fire Flame sect were eradicated. More than 100 people died. Our Water Cloud sect is in a miserable state. The branch that we established more than 100 years ago was nearly destroyed. Our Scarlet Firmament sect is in an even worse state. One of our branch elders died. Before Wenren could say anything, the true inheritors of the rank 7 sects and ancient noble clans all showed somewhat hostile expressions as they looked at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen smiled self-mockingly and said, So it's my fault. If not you, who should we blame? If not for you, why would there be such a huge commotion? Some people refused to give up, continuing to pester Xiao Chen. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter said softly, It looks like everyone has forgotten their purpose here. I want to speak to Xiao Chen alone. Everyone please go back. Clearly, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter's tone already showed some displeasure. The others also felt that making things difficult for the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter in her residence was somewhat overboard. They quickly apologized and took their leave. This gathering should have ended the moment Pei Xiaoxian appeared. Now that Xiao Chen's identity was exposed, there was no reason for this gathering to continue. Before the Ice Snow Mountain Manor's Yihan left, he glanced at Xiao Chen and smiled faintly. Then he sent a voice projection. If young Master Xiao has time, you can come to the Ice Snow Mountain Manor's residence for a gathering. I have some things to discuss with young Master Xiao. Without waiting for Xiao Chen to reply, Yi Han left with the others. Before Wenren left, he looked at Xiao Chen and said, "If Brother Xiao wants to resolve some conflicts with the demonic Dao factions, you can take the initiative to contact me. I can still put in some words." However, Pei Xiaoxian smiled coldly at the side and said, "Words are useless." Wenren left with a smile, treating Pei Xiaoxian as heir, not caring about his existence at all. "You're not leaving? If you don't, I'm afraid that you won't be able to leave even if you want to." The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter looked at Pei Xiaoxian with a smile that did not seem like a smile. Pei Xiaoxian smiled embarrassedly and said, "Wife, you really know how to joke. This husband will take his leave first. Next time, when there is no one around, we can chat happily." Before the holy daughter left, she looked at Xiao Chen and said, "I find you pleasing to the eye. If the heavenly slaughter sex Wang Yin comes looking for you, my name will definitely be more useful than Wenren Yu's." The Tianxiang imperial residence, which had been bustling with noise just a moment ago, suddenly became deserted. When Xiao Chen looked up, the sky had already darkened at some point in time. Xiao Chen looked at the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter and asked, "Holy daughter, why did you make me stay behind alone?" Chapter 2047. Saintess, why did you ask me to stay behind alone? At this moment on the grassland, aside from Xiao Chen, only the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter remained. Iron Egg had also been arranged to rest elsewhere in the palace. Xiao Chen could not figure out why the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter wanted him to stay behind. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter looked at Xiao Chen and said, "I would like to ask you if you met someone in the desolate sea." Who? The number of people Xiao Chen saw in the desolate sea could not be considered many, but it could not be considered few either. This question was somewhat difficult to answer. Qin Zhuolin. Xiao Chen felt slightly stunned. He had indeed seen this person once when he first came to the desolate sea. However, it could be considered a coincidence that the two of them came into contact. Furthermore, it was extremely secretive, so it would be difficult for outsiders to know about it. Unless, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter smiled and said, "In that case, there is no mistake. Half a month ago, I sent someone to seek him out for help. However, he was rejected. He said that he didn't owe anyone a favor in the past few years, and that there was no need for him to make a move. This is also a coincidence. I did not expect the Xiao Chen he mentioned to be the same Xiao Chen who was poisoned by Thousand Taste Red that day. What's more, I did not expect to see you again in Peach Blossom City." Indeed, Xiao Chen guessed right. Unless Qin Zhuolin said it himself, Qin Zhuolin would not be able to hide it. Otherwise, no one would know about his meeting with Qin Zhuolin. However, who exactly was this Qin Zhuolin? He did not even give face to the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter. One had to know that the Heavenly Fragrance Holy Land's status was transcendent, and its reputation was excellent. Obtaining the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter's invitation and establishing a connection with the Heavenly Fragrance Holy Land would be extremely beneficial to him. Regardless of Qin Zhuolin's origins, Xiao Chen looked at the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter and asked, "So?" The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter said, "I do indeed have something to ask of Qin Zhuolin. Furthermore, it is very urgent. If he does not appear, it will be very difficult for me to accomplish it. It just so happens that he owes you a favor. I want you to help me persuade him." In the end, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter just wanted to ask Xiao Chen to help her persuade Qin Zhuolin. Xiao Chen said thoughtfully, "I've only met him once. I'm not sure if I can persuade him." "It's fine. As long as you say that you are willing to help me, I will pass on the message." When the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter saw that Xiao Chen was easy to talk to, she felt gratified. Xiao Chen nodded. "Since the Saintess is really anxious, we can give it a try, but I can't guarantee that he will agree." Seeing Xiao Chen agree so straightforwardly, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter revealed an expression of joy, a smile on her face. It seemed like it wanted to blow away the fog shrouding him. When Xiao Chen looked over, he felt like he was bathed in a spring breeze, and his eyes lit up. Unfortunately, the fog did not disperse in the end, and he still could not see Xiao Chen's appearance clearly. "Then I'll take my leave. Xiaochen cupped his hands and prepared to leave. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter felt slightly stunned. Then she smiled and said, "Young Master Xiao, are you not willing to speak more with me?" It was the same before, and it was the same now. He was always in a hurry to leave. "You helped me identify the 1,000-year flame, so I should properly thank you. Now that you have helped me so much, I should thank you even more." Xiaochen smiled and said, "It was just a small matter. There is indeed no need to thank me. This is the first time we met, and we do not know each other. Yet the holy daughter left behind the antidote to the 1,000 taste red for me. What I am doing now is not worth mentioning." The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter saw that Xiaochen was carefree and at ease, showing that he did not intend to stand on ceremony. After thinking for a while, she said, "Young Master Xiao and your friend have just arrived in Peach Blossom City. I believe you have not found a place to stay yet. If you do not mind, you can stay in the heavenly fragrance's residence." This was the truth. Xiaochen thought about it for a while. There would definitely be endless trouble after he left. Staying in the heavenly fragrance's residence was indeed much more convenient. In that case, many thanks for the holy daughter's invitation. After Xiaochen turned and left, a few heavenly fragrance disciples appeared. They frowned and said, "Young miss, are we really going to let young Master Xiao stay? The heavenly fragrance's residence has never let a male stay in it before. Would it be bad if word got out?" The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter replied softly, "What's bad about it? Chu Xiang, you make the arrangements." "Me." The disciple named Chu Xiang was the flirtatious girl who used the 100 flowers twining hand to block Xiaochen, but ended up getting captured by Xiaochen. The holy daughter's words surprised Chu Xiang. After she recovered her wits, she nodded in agreement. After making some preparations, Chu Xiang went to look for Xiaochen and Iron Egg, who were resting in a pavilion. Then she brought the two to their lodgings. When Chu Xiang saw Xiaochen, she said softly, "Young Master Xiao, I have already made arrangements for your lodgings. Please come with me." Xiaochen recognized this girl. He said sincerely, "I have offended you earlier. Miss Chu, please don't take offense." Chu Xiang smiled casually and said, "It's fine. Young Master Zhao's cultivation is not high, but this Chu Xiang admires your strength. My master's 100 flowers twining hand is the true inheritance." Unexpectedly, young Master Xiao still managed to break it. "If we have time in the future, we can have a good exchange." Chu Xiang was indeed a good girl. She had a good temper and a good heart. Xiaochen nodded and smiled. "I would be delighted." The two chatted casually in the residence, discussing some of their understanding of the martial Tao. This somewhat broadened Xiaochen's horizons. Chu Xiang truly lived up to being a disciple of a holy land. Many of her insights and viewpoints benefited Xiaochen greatly. Halfway to the residence, Xiaochen discovered an old man and a youth leaving in the opposite corridor, feeling somewhat disappointed. The old man was spirited and gave off a steady aura, giving off the air of a grandmaster. The youth had an imposing appearance, looking handsome and distinguished. He even exuded the air of a ruler. Upon seeing that youth, the dragon race bloodline in Xiaochen's body even surged slightly, raring to give it a try, wanting to compete with him. Xiaochen could not help asking out of curiosity, "Who are these two people?" Chu Xiang took a look and said, "That is the crown prince of the eastern region's Hound Lion Empire, Xiahou Wu. The one beside him is Great Master Yuanfei. They should be here to appraise the 1,000-year flame because of its fame. However, young Master Xiao already appraised the 1,000-year flame, so they have nothing to do with it." No wonder they returned disappointed. "Wait, Great Master Yuanfei." Xiaochen suddenly recalled this Great Master Yuanfei. Wasn't he the one who humiliated Grandpa Seven back then? As a result, Grandpa Seven did not come to Peach Blossom City for 30 years. "Miss Chu, it has been a long time." Xiahou Wu looked at Chu Xiang from afar, and the disappointment on his face immediately vanished. Then he quickly walked over with a smile. Seeing the other party so enthusiastic, Chu Xiang said somewhat cautiously, "Young Master Xiahou, how have you been?" Xiahou Wu smiled and said, "It has been a year since we parted at Desolate City. Great Master, please give Miss Chu a bottle of my 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine. This is just a small gift." Please don't regard it as an outsider. Great Master Yuanfei, who was behind, smiled faintly and took out a flask of wine. Xiahou Wu received it and said, "This spirit flower wine not only tastes excellent, but it also has a beautifying effect on women. More importantly, it can assist in cultivation and increase one's comprehension ability." With regards to his gift, Xiahou Wu was still very confident. However, Chu Xiang rejected, saying, "Young Master Xiahou is too polite. This fine wine is too precious. Young Master Xiahou, please keep it for yourself." Xiahou Wu had not expected to be rejected. He took a step forward, wanting to forcefully give this 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine to Chu Xiang. "If you don't want it, you are looking down on me, Xiahou Wu. If Miss Chu continues to reject me, then there is no point in me keeping it. I might as well throw it away." Chu Xiang felt somewhat embarrassed, unable to advance or retreat. As she struggled, a hand suddenly reached out and took the 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine. "Young Master Xiahou, since Miss Chu does not want this wine, it would be a waste to throw it away. Let me drink it for you." Xiaochen held the wine flask and gulped it down in one go. His body immediately felt hot. The spiritual energy, veritable essence energy, and demonic chi, veritable essence energy in his primal core surged at the same time. In an instant, his veritable essence energy became denser, a pleasant surprise. Xiaochen reluctantly drank the last drop. Then he shook the flask a few times to make sure that there was no wine left. Wiping his mouth, Xiaochen returned the flask. Then he smiled and said, "This is indeed good wine. It truly lives up to being the 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine. Thank you, young Master Xiahou, for your kind intentions." This happened in the time it took for a spark to fly. Chu Xiang and Xiahou Wu were stunned. When Chu Xiang saw Xiaochen wipe his mouth and return the empty flask to Xiahou Wu, she could not help covering her mouth and giggling. However, Xiahou Wu flew into a rage out of humiliation. He sized up Xiaochen and demanded, "Who are you? How dare you drink my wine? Are you seeking death?" Xiaochen smiled faintly and said, "There are many people in this world who want me dead. It does not matter if you die or not. I do not even fear the dragon god crown prince. So what if I drink your flask of wine? You are seeking death." Seeing that a holy venerate like Xiaochen dared to show such an attitude, Xiahou Wu became enraged. He immediately threw a palm strike at Xiaochen. Xiahou Wu flew into a rage, and his aura instantly erupted. A terrifying aura belonging to the great desolate Ian mutated beast, the Swan and I, pressed down on Xiaochen. Xiaochen could no longer hold back his divine dragon bloodline. It erupted, merging his veritable essence energy and vital qi. Then he threw a punch at Xiaochen. Bang! The two fists clashed amid a loud sound. By relying on his acquired divine body, Xiaochen did not move at all. Xiahou Wu, who had underestimated his opponent, suffered greatly. This punch sent him flying back 100 meters. His internal organs churned, feeling incredibly uncomfortable. "Xiahou Wu, this is the Heavenly Fragrance's residence. How dare you be so impudent here?" Chu Xiang shouted coldly as she stood in front of Xiaochen when she saw Xiahou Wu attack and injure him. Fortunately, Xiaochen was not injured. Otherwise, if the holy daughter blamed her, she would have failed in her duty. At this moment, Chu Xiang's gentle and charming air vanished. Her aura was sharp, no one daring to underestimate her. Xiahou Wu, who was about to continue attacking, withdrew the terrifying aura in his body. Then he said indifferently, "Naturally, I do not dare to be impudent in the Heavenly Fragrance's residence." After saying that, Xiahou Wu looked coldly at Xiaochen before turning to leave. Chu Xiang heaved a sigh of relief after seeing Xiahou Wu leave. Then she quickly turned around to look. She saw Xiaochen's expression turn strange. His cheeks puffed up like he was suppressing the clotted blood in his body, feeling very uncomfortable. Startled, she exclaimed, "Young Master Xiao, are you all right? Don't scare me." Gulp. Xiaochen recovered to normal. He smiled and said, "What can happen to me? I just could not bear to spit out the 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine." Chu Xiang heaved a long sigh of relief. Then, she recalled Xiahou Wu's foolish expression when he saw Xiaochen drink the 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine in one go. She could not help laughing again. Chu Xiang's bell-like laughter sounded very pleasing, like a lively musical instrument. Chapter 2048. Chu Xiang's laughter sounded very pleasant, sounding like a wind chime. Xiaochen revealed a smile. It had been a long time since he had heard such clear and melodious laughter. The holy daughter was like a fairy from heaven. Even when she stood before him, she gave off a distant feeling. A layer of fog shrouded her, making her seem otherworldly. Chu Xiang was a living celestial maiden. One could truly feel her existence and her beauty. When Chu Xiang noticed Xiaochen paying attention to her, she immediately realized that she had lost her composure. However, she still could not hide the smile on her charming face. She said softly, "Thank you, young Master Xiao, for helping me out. However, I offended the Bayan Crown Prince. Young Master Xiao, you should be careful in the future." Xiaochen said softly, "If you are not afraid, all the more I will not fear him. However, his wine is pretty good. It would be a pity if Miss Chu did not drink it. I will not take his things." Chu Xiang's lips curled up as she said, "For the sake of getting close to the holy daughter, many people have targeted me, trying to use me to get close to the holy daughter. If not for the heavenly fragrance's rules, I would have slapped such people with impure motives long ago." At the start, Chu Xiang appeared soft and weak. Later, she became incredibly tyrannical. Xiaochen smiled to himself. This Miss Chu is also a passionate person. "We're here. Young Master Xiao will be staying here tonight," Chu Xiang said softly as she pointed to a courtyard in front. "We're here. Young Master Xiao will be staying here tonight." The courtyard looked very ordinary. However, after entering, one discovered that it was a completely different world. There were fake mountains, flowing water, and winding corridors. It was elegant and clean, and there was even a place for cultivators to cultivate. Xiaochen felt very satisfied. He nodded and said, "This place is pretty good." Chu Xiang said softly, "This is a place arranged for cultivators. I will arrange another place for young Master Zhao's friend." Xiaochen nodded. Iron Egg did not have any requirements for a place to stay. Being able to stay in the palace already surpassed Xiaochen's expectations. There was nothing to be dissatisfied about. "In that case, I'll take my leave first." Chu Xiang smiled and bowed before taking her leave. After entering a cultivation room in the courtyard, Xiaochen sat down cross-legged and quickly refined the 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine. As expected of the Bai and Crown Prince, although this 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine was much weaker than heartburn, especially since it did not have the ability to strengthen one's bloodline, it was still comparable to the Bai and Crown Prince. However, its effect in assisting cultivation was unparalleled. Right now, Xiaochen could break through to sovereign personage at any time. He did not want to miss this opportunity. If he was lucky enough to succeed, he really had to thank the Tawan Crown Prince, Xiahou Wu. At the same time, Xiahou Wu, who had just walked out of the Tianxiang Palace, had a dark expression on his face. The killing intent in his eyes was extremely thick. Great Master Yuanfei, who was at the side, consoled, "Your Highness the Crown Prince, there is no need to be anxious. I have already sent people to investigate this person's background. When night falls, we will know this person's background." Xiahou Wu calmed his emotions, unable to hide the pain on his face. The value of the 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine was worth more than 1 million primeval heavenly pills. Moreover, it was priceless. Spirit flower wine that was over 1,000 years old was limited even in the Hound Lion Empire's imperial family. He had wanted to get on Chu Xiang's good side, but he did not expect this mixed-blood lad to come out of nowhere and ruin his plans. In just 2 or 3 mouthfuls it was all gone. What was even more abominable was that the person whom he underestimated actually got knocked into the air with one punch. Great Master is right. No matter what, we cannot be unbridled in this Tianxiang Palace. When Great Master Yuanfei heard that, he heaved a sigh of relief. Then he nodded and said, "It is good that the Crown Prince understands. In this trip to the Peach Blossom Garden, we still need to focus on the Wine King contest. Proper matters are more important." Xiahou Wu smiled and said, "With Great Master Yuanfei around, I do not have to worry about the Wine King contest at all. Let's go back first. After we investigate this fellow's background, I will make him spit it out 10 times, 100 times. The bright moon hung alone, and there were no stars for thousands of kilometers around. The gentle, watery moonlight shone on the Tianxiang Palace, looking elegant and tranquil. The night was beautiful. At this moment, in the courtyard where Xiao Chun was, azure energy ripples spread out wave after wave, looking like the surface of a lake reflecting the moonlight, beautiful and flawless. Beneath the surface of the water, within the courtyard, everything was hazy and indistinct. From time to time, the cyan energy ripples would be thrust thousands of meters high, but they wouldn't break. It seemed like there was a terrifying existence under the ripples, trying to break through but never succeeding. Two women hovered in the air above the residence. From a distance, they looked like they were standing on the full moon. They were tranquil and beautiful, standing out from the crowd. They looked ethereal and otherworldly, like people in a painting. These two women were the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter and Chu Xiang. What a terrifying energy fluctuation. Senior sister, the water cloud formation that you laid for him seems to be unable to hide his aura. Chu Xiang felt startled, clearly surprised. Under the moonlight, the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter also appeared somewhat unfathomable, frowning heavily. 1 hour later, Chu Xiang suddenly came looking for the holy daughter, and told her that Xiao Chun was about to break through to sovereign personage. The aura in the courtyard was somewhat terrifying and startling. After the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter arrived, she immediately laid the water cloud formation to hide the aura in the courtyard. By now, the holy daughter's water cloud formation had already suffered more than 10 attacks. Unlike Chu Xiang, the holy daughter could see the scene in the courtyard through the water cloud formation. Dragon roars rang out in the courtyard, and mysterious phenomena appeared. The seated Xiao Chun was like a powerful treasure saber giving off a faint light. Even though he did not draw his scabbard, he still gave off a terrifying sharpness. After the treasure saber were the 3 Dao wheels. Xiao Chun, who did not look outstanding, actually comprehended 3 great Dao. Among them, his thunder Dao reached an inconceivable level. This caused the entire courtyard to be engulfed in a sea of lightning. Heavy snow flew above the sea, and strong winds carried a boundless saber intent. Dragon roars rang out in the surroundings of the sea. An ancient and grave dragon might swept out in all directions. In the chaotic and terrifying mysterious phenomenon world, the sun and the moon shone together above the heavenly palace, competing with each other. Such a mysterious phenomenon already surpassed the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter's understanding. To her knowledge, any of the mysterious phenomena here would be an incredible existence if it appeared on a cultivator. However, for Xiao Chun, the sun and the moon shone together. A sea of lightning, snow drifted for 5,000 kilometers, a powerful treasure saber, and many other mysterious phenomena appeared at the same time. What kind of existence can suppress so many mysterious phenomena? Confusion filled the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter's eyes, appearing extremely confused. Logically speaking, even someone with a great desolate Ian bloodline could not suppress so many mysterious phenomena. One would explode and die. The mysterious fog shrouding the holy daughter's face scattered slightly, revealing a pair of unparalleled eyes that looked like stars and gems. A faint light flickered in the holy daughter's eyes. A sea of flowers bloomed in her eyes, overlapping and forming a vast world. This was the heavenly fragrance's 10,000 flower eyes. Chu Xiang, who was at the side, felt slightly shocked. She did not know why her senior sister executed an eye technique. Just as Chu Xiang felt uncertain, the 10,000 flowers gathered and silently withdrew. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter revealed an expression of understanding. So that is what happened. An acquired divine body. No wonder he could suppress so many mysterious phenomena. It turned out that he had already cultivated an acquired divine body. This made sense. If one did not have a divine body, who could control so many mysterious phenomena in this world? With such accumulations, once Xiao Chun broke through to sovereign personage, his strength would increase unimaginably. Junior sister Chu, are you saying that he drank all of Xiahou Wu's 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine in one go? The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter asked. At the mention of this matter, Chu Xiang could not help smiling. That's right. I saw that Xiaohu was completely stunned. His jaw nearly fell off. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter smiled faintly and said, if he knew that Xiao Chun would break through to sovereign personage because of this, I wonder what kind of expression he would have. Just thinking about it is very interesting. Chu Xiang rubbed her chin and asked, Senior sister, are you saying that young Master Xiao can really break through to sovereign personage? The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter shook her head and said, it's hard to say. I can tell that he has failed at least 5 or 6 times. Every time, he has a limitless chance of success. However, he always lacks an opportunity, wasting all his previous efforts. Tell me, what kind of person is he? The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter suddenly asked in the end. This question stunned Chu Xiang for a moment. Clearly, she had not expected the holy daughter to ask this. In Chu Xiang's memory, her senior sister had never been so interested in a person before. When they first met, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter thought that Xiao Chun was just a dead man. Out of pity, she gave him a medicinal pill. However, that medicinal pill could not resolve the 1,000-taste red's poison at all. When they met again, Xiao Chun appeared before her brimming with energy. This had already startled her. Furthermore, she had not expected him to be the person that Qin Zhuolin mentioned. However, there was still more to come. Xiao Chun was the one who uprooted the 80-odd strongholds of the Heavenly Slaughter Sect branch outside Peach Blossom City. Now this Xiao Chun surprised her again. He actually cultivated and acquired divine body. Chapter 2049. All sorts of mysterious phenomena clashed under the water cloud formation. As Xiao Chun anxiously tried to break through, the holy daughter and Chu Xiang waited patiently for the results. The two felt very curious about whether Xiao Chun would succeed or not. If he succeeded, how strong would Xiao Chun be after advancing to sovereign personage? However, even after waiting until sunrise, there were no results. This attempt to break through was the one that took the longest out of all the attempts he had made. It looks like we will not know the results anytime soon. As the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter looked at the rising sun in the east, she sighed softly and said, Chu Xiang, stay behind. If he fails this time, the consequences will be severe. What do you mean? Chu Xiang did not know how horrifying Xiao Chun's accumulations were, so she did not understand what the holy daughter meant. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter did not say anything more. The rebound of his veritable essence energy is not that easy to endure. Chu Xiang nodded and said, I understand. I will watch over young Master Xiao, and not let anything happen to him in the Heavenly Fragrance's residence. Right. Chu Xiang stood guard for 3 days straight. During these 3 days, the water cloud formation that the holy daughter laid endured several attacks. However, it finally stabilized. The holy daughter did not spread out Xiao Chun's horrifying mysterious phenomena, or his dragon race aura. The news of Xiao Chun staying in the Heavenly Fragrance's residence spread throughout Peach Blossom City during these 3 days. This caused countless people to be shocked. To think that a man stayed in the Heavenly Fragrance's residence. This was something that had never happened before. Hence, everyone felt very curious about Xiao Chun's origins. After asking around, everyone was shocked. It turned out that Xiao Chun was the mysterious person who swept through the 80-odd strongholds of the Heavenly Slaughter Sect's branches. The recent fluctuations between the righteous factions and demonic factions were actually because of Xiao Chun. After that, there was news that the wine that Xiao Chun brought to the Wine King contest was Waning Moon. Back then, old Seven Du, who had not entered Peach Blossom City for 30 years after being defeated by Great Master Yuan Fei, sent someone to kill his way back with a flask of wine. That was not all. After some digging, people dug up all of Xiao Chun's deeds in the Divine Dragon Empire. He could not blame the others for investigating him so thoroughly. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter was very famous in the Great Desolate Domain. She was the dream lover of countless people. There had never been a male martial artist who was invited to stay in the Tianxiang Palace. He was the first. Furthermore, the participants of the Peach Blossom Wine Festival were all outstanding talents from various places, all of them backed by super factions. 3 days was more than enough to investigate a person's background. However, Xiaochen could not become the main character in Peach Blossom City. Right now, the most popular event in Peach Blossom City was the Wine King contest. During every Centennial Wine Festival, aside from agreeing to a reasonable request from the Wine King contest's winner, the Peach Blossom City's city lord would also take out one of his treasures as a reward. It was said that this year's reward was a mysterious key. As for what kind of key it was, others did not know. However, the great factions of the righteous and demonic paths already knew. For the sake of this key, an increasing number of outstanding talents gathered in Peach Blossom City over the past few days. The one who had the most hope of winning the Wine King competition was still the crown prince of the Hound Lion Empire, Xiahou Wu. This was because Xiahou Wu brought Great Master Yuanfei. Great Master Yuanfei was the legendary brewer of Peach Blossom City. In the past few decades, he had practically always won every wine festival he participated in. However, it was a little different this time around. This was because the number of people who came far surpassed the previous ones. Not just the top disciples of the righteous Dao sects came. The young sect masters of the Blood Flame sect and the Heavenly Slaughter sect of the demonic Dao factions also came. Among the demonic Dao factions, the 6 great demonic Dao sects were like the holy lands of the righteous Dao. As for the Blood Flame sect and the Heavenly Slaughter sect, they were 2 of the 6 great demonic Dao factions. Aside from the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter, the one with the greatest background among the righteous Dao factions was undoubtedly the Profound Heaven Holy Lands Holy Sun. After him were the Ice Snow Mountain Manor's Yi Han, the Hound Lion Empire's Xiahou Wu, and the other rank 7 factions' crown princes and top disciples. This was the first time in a century that so many factions of the righteous Dao and demonic Dao gathered at the same time. The Peach Blossom Wine Festival looked the same as usual. In reality, as the factions of the righteous Dao and demonic Dao gathered, undercurrents surged. After so many factions arrived, the commotion caused by Xiaochen staying in the Heavenly Fragrance's residence slowly faded. The Heavenly Fragrance's residence remained as bustling as before. Every day, the outstanding talents of the various major factions came to visit. However, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter refused to see anyone. There were only 2 days left until the Wine King contest. However, Xiaochen still showed no signs of coming out of closed-door cultivation. Chu Xiang, who had been guarding the courtyard, already started to worry. "Young Master Xiao, what's going on? Should we go in and take a look?" Chu Xiang showed some worry on her charming face. She had never seen someone take so long to break through to sovereign personage before. However, when one was breaking through, one feared being disturbed the most. However, no one dared to act rashly, only feeling anxious. "Is there still no movement?" A figure drifted over in the air. Chu Xiang turned her head and saw the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter. "Yes, senior sister. There are still no signs of him coming out of closed-door cultivation. In the past few days, the water cloud formation has not even stirred. It is like a pool of dead water inside, showing no movement at all." The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter nodded. Seeing Chu Xiang's worry, she said softly, "Don't worry. Let me take a look." The holy daughter personally laid the water cloud formation. Others could not see the scene inside or sense the aura inside. However, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter was not restricted. A faint light flashed in the holy daughter's eyes as she peered through the rippling water screen. She saw that the courtyard was calm. The mysterious phenomenon she saw earlier had vanished. The entire courtyard was deathly silent. Even the fallen leaves in the courtyard turned slightly yellow. It was so quiet that it made one's hair stand on end. Did he fail? The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter thought to herself. Such a situation does not seem like something that should happen after a successful breakthrough. She fixed her gaze on Xiaochen, who was seated cross-legged, and was about to take a closer look. Just as she was about to take a closer look, Xiaochen suddenly opened his eyes. The two's gazes met in the air. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter saw an ancient and grave azure-colored dragon image in Xiaochen's eyes. The azure-colored dragon image disappeared in a flash. Following that, the sovereign personage will from Xiaochen's soul pool erupted from his body. In that instant, winds and clouds gathered. Fallen leaves flew everywhere, and strong winds howled. This startled the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter. She withdrew her gaze and could not help taking a step back. Chu Xiang quickly went over to support the holy daughter. "Senior sister, what's wrong?" The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter held her forehead, feeling a piercing pain in her eyes. Earlier, Xiao Chen's gaze was very scary. That fleeting dragon silhouette caught her off guard. The dragon might that originated from ancient times shook her divine soul. "I'm fine. Come in with me and congratulate young Master Xiao." The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter waved her hand and entered. When Chu Xiang heard that, she felt slightly stunned. Then she reacted. Xiao Chen succeeded in breaking through to sovereign personage. Chu Xiang quickly followed. She had been on tenterhooks for the past few days, feeling very worried. Xiao Chen finally succeeded. It had not been easy. Back then, when she tried to break through to sovereign personage, she had not been this worried. "Young Master Xiao, congratulations on successfully advancing to sovereign personage," the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter said softly as she drifted in. Xiao Chen looked at the water cloud formation above him. Then he smiled faintly and said, "Many thanks to the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter and Miss Chu Xiang for protecting me." Sovereign personage was the final major realm of the Cloud Sea realm. After entering this realm, one could become a sovereign among humans, the peak of humans. If one cultivated any further, they would no longer be a human realm. From the initial veritable personage to the current sovereign personage, it had not been easy for Xiao Chen to get to where he was. Outsiders did not know the hardships involved. As someone who came from an abandoned land, Xiao Chen had climbed step by step to where he was today. If he told others everything, no one would believe him. Even among the outstanding talents of the Central Great Realm, very few could advance to sovereign personage. Those who could advance to sovereign personage at Xiao Chen's age were even rarer. They were either the people of the Holy Lands or the true inheritors of rank 7 sections. There were practically none like Xiao Chen, who fought his way up step by step. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter seemed to want to see through Xiao Chen. However, she discovered that he was shrouded in mystery, appearing even more mysterious than her. The holy daughter could only give up helplessly. She said, "After advancing to sovereign personage, you should properly cultivate and stabilize your foundation. However, the Wine King contest will begin in 2 days. I'm afraid that young Master Xiao will not have much time to familiarize yourself." Xiao Chen exclaimed in shock. "I took so long to break through." "A total of 5 days. Chu Xiang said from the side, raising her hand. Time was really tight. Xiao Chen had to set aside the joy of advancing to sovereign personage for now. He had to spend some time to prepare for the Wine King contest. He had to do his best to emerge victorious in the Wine King contest and complete Grandpa Seven's unfulfilled wish, ensuring the peace of the village for 100 years. Chapter 2050. While you were in closed-door cultivation, Senior Cui sent someone to deliver an invitation to the Wine King contest. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter handed Xiao Chen a gold-plated invitation. Many people came to participate in the Peach Blossom Wine Festival. However, not many people could obtain this invitation. Only with this invitation could one qualify to participate in the Wine King contest. "Young Master Xiao, are you participating in the Wine King contest for the Ethereal Immortal Palace's treasure key?" The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter asked when she saw Xiao Chen receive the invitation. "What Ethereal Immortal Palace?" Xiao Chen felt confused. He did not know what the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter was talking about. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter revealed an expression of understanding. Then she said, "Indeed, it is as I thought. In every Centennial Wine Festival, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor will take out one of his treasures as a reward. This time the reward is a key. Anyone with some connections would know that it is the key to the Ethereal Immortal Palace. Many people have come for this key." Xiao Chen smiled bitterly and said, "I really don't know about that. I don't even know what the Ethereal Immortal Palace is." Chu Xiang covered her mouth and smiled faintly. "Young Master Xiao is really surprising. You are already a sovereign personage, yet you do not know some things that everyone knows. I am from another region. I came to the Central Great Realm only 2 or 3 years ago. Xiao Chen answered honestly, answering the two's doubts. We can talk about the ethereal immortal palace later. You should have many things that you do not understand now that you have advanced to sovereign personage. I will leave Chu Xiang here. If you have any questions, you can ask her for answers. Don't underestimate this junior sister of mine. If we really fight, you might not be a match for her. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter smiled sweetly and slowly withdrew. This was not an exaggeration. This Chu Xiang had advanced to sovereign personage at least 2 or 3 years ago. Furthermore, she came from a holy land. She definitely had a lot of resources. It would be hard to say if she was a match for her. Holy daughter overestimates me. I will wait outside the courtyard. If young Master Xiao needs anything, just call me at any time. The junior sister of the holy daughter served Xiao Chun like a maidservant. This caused him to feel slightly uncomfortable, but Chu Xiang didn't give him a chance to refuse. She smiled, bowed, and left. Let's not think anymore. Let me see what changes there are when I advance to sovereign personage. Recollecting his thoughts, Xiao Chen's consciousness entered the soul pool. After advancing to sovereign personage, the greatest change was the vague dragon seal in Xiao Chen's soul pool, which represented his will of soul. It was completely clear and distinct, radiating a resplendent light. King's might spread to every corner of the soul pool. King's will. The qualitative improvement of Xiao Chen's will of soul allowed him to rival a small perfection sovereign personage's will of soul. If he advanced further, he could rival a great perfection sovereign personage, or even surpass them. Apart from that, his quintessential essence had been further condensed, reaching the limit. Lowering his consciousness to his dantian, Xiao Chen discovered that the 9-star primal core had already solidified, flickering with black and white lights. The amount of true essence it could hold had increased by 10 times. Xiao Chen exclaimed in shock. Small perfection sovereign personage? The materialization of the primal core was the mark of a small perfection sovereign personage. His primal core would be further transformed and could be molded directly. When one reached peak sovereign personage, the primal core would advance further, turning into an illusory object, somewhere between tangible and intangible. At that time, the primal core would no longer be destroyed, and one would reach the limits of a human. If one wanted to advance further, one had to undergo a rebirth, break through to the Cloud Sea realm, and start cultivating the soul. However, all of this was still a distant goal. Right now, Xiao Chen was shocked that he had directly surpassed initial perfection sovereign personage, and advanced to small perfection sovereign personage. Xiao Chen could not help wanting to laugh out loud. The sovereign personage realm was divided into initial perfection, small perfection, great perfection, and consummation. With each increase in the 4 stages, there would be a qualitative improvement. Many people would remain stuck at a certain stage for the rest of their lives, unable to advance further. However, now when Xiao Chen advanced, he skipped initial perfection and reached small perfection. Xiao Chen's deep accumulations finally erupted at this moment. After thinking about it, Xiao Chen concluded that it might have something to do with the flask of heartburn that he drank. It was the best wine of the dragon race. Not only could it increase one's cultivation, but it could also convert one's bloodline power. Qin Zhuolin once said that back then, a sovereign emperor was willing to pay a jade mine for this wine. With the aid of this excellent wine and his acquired divine body, Xiao Chen still needed to add in the 1,000-year-old spirit flower wine that Xiahou Wu gave him. Coincidentally, Xiao Chen managed to advance to small perfection sovereign personage. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and said, I wonder if Xiahou Wu will die from anger when he finds out. The various changes made Xiao Chen's current strength several times stronger than before he broke through. Now that he ran into a great perfection sovereign personage, while Xiao Chen did not dare say that he could defeat the other party, he would not fear it. Saber. With a thought, the tyrant's saber appeared in Xiao Chen's hand, and he drew it. The blade was perfectly straight and 2 fingers wide. It looked delicate and pretty, but when paired with its nearly 4 feet long length, it made one shudder in fear. As Xiao Chen gently caressed the saber, he felt somewhat rueful. He had not truly drawn his saber for a long time already. It was not that Xiao Chen did not want to, but that his saber skills had fallen too far behind. The supreme dragon fist and firmament's rage combined with his peak thunder Dao could help him settle most battles. However, the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber's third move, entering hell, required a sovereign personage to truly control. Otherwise, if Xiaochen cultivated it rashly, he might end up like Zhen Yuan, falling into the demonic Dao. All this while, Xiaochen had not dared to touch it. Now that he had advanced to sovereign personage, he did not want to wait any longer. As a bladesman, Xiaochen had been suppressed for too long. "I've wronged you." Buzz. Right after Xiaochen spoke, the tyrant saber seemed to understand him. It trembled gently and buzzed endlessly. The sharpness that had been suppressed for a long time burst out, turning into a boundless saber intent sweeping out in all directions. A tyrannical aura surged in Xiaochen's heart. The bloodline in Xiaochen's body instantly surged. Using this aura, Xiaochen immediately executed the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique's third move, entering hell. The Buddha said, "If I do not enter hell, who will?" This saber strike contained the intent to forego death. Compared to breaking the mundane and resolving the mundane, it contained a broader and boundless boldness and breadth of mind. Without the will of soul of a sovereign personage, one would not be able to control this fearless saber strike. If one was not careful, one would lose control and become a slave to the saber, unable to extricate themselves. Outside the courtyard, Chu Xiang, who was waiting, heard a saber hum. His heart instantly trembled, and his entire body shivered. He was bewildered and bewildered. Just as she was feeling uncertain, a boundless saber strike containing a fearless boldness soared into the sky from the courtyard and swept out in all directions. What a strong saber strike! This startled Chu Xiang. She nearly thought that this saber strike would destroy the entire residence. However, just as Chu Xiang was about to make a move, she was shocked to discover that this saber strike was forcefully pulled back just as it was about to leave the courtyard. He stabilized it? Such a strong saber strike was actually more terrifying when it was pulled back than when it was unleashed. The saber strike was already so terrifying, inspiring fear. In that case, how terrifying was the person who could subdue this saber strike? Xiaochen. Aside from Xiaochen, there was no one else in the courtyard. Clearly this saber strike came from Xiaochen. He is also a bladesman? Chu Xiang could no longer suppress the curiosity in her heart. She gently spread her arms and flew up like a butterfly, landing firmly on the courtyard wall. She saw saber winds in the courtyard, accompanied by ghostly wails and wolf howls. It was like purgatory in the mortal world. Malicious spirits wailed and evil spirits cried amid the howling saber winds. The saber winds caused Chu Xiang to lose her footing and nearly fall. The saber winds were so intense that she could not open her eyes. Chu Xiang squinted and looked over with some difficulty. Finally, she saw the mysterious phenomenon formed by the saber wind. Finally, she saw the white-clad Xiaochen in the purgatory storm with a calm expression and a saber in his hand. A Buddhist swastika appeared on Xiaochen's forehead. Xiaochen did not seem to be holding a saber in his hand but an evil dragon from hell that ruled the world and could devour the world. Chu Xiang trembled in fear, afraid that Xiaochen would lose control and release this evil dragon of hell. Chu Xiang worried for Xiaochen. She could tell how terrifying this saber strike was and feared that Xiaochen would lose control and sink into it. However, Chu Xiang slowly discovered that she had worried for nothing. Xiaochen's initial control was somewhat stiff, making the onlookers nervous. Soon he could control it as he pleased. It was like Xiaochen's white robes made him look like an azure lotus walking in hell. His figure swayed, but his heart remained calm. Clang! At some point in time, a melodious saber hum rang out beside Chu Xiang's ears. Only then did Chu Xiang come to her senses. She discovered that Xiaochen had already sheathed his saber at some point in time. He had a faint smile on his delicate face as he looked at Chu Xiang, who was standing on the courtyard wall. Chapter 2051. On the courtyard wall, Chu Xiang calmed down for a long time before saying, "Unexpectedly, young Master Xiao is actually a bladesman as well. This is truly surprising." Xiaochen said softly, "I haven't used it for a long time. Fortunately, I'm not rusty. Miss Chu Xiang's swordsmanship should be pretty good." Would it be possible for you to give me some pointers? My pleasure. I haven't used a saber in a long time, and I've just entered hell. His improvement would be much faster than if he were to cultivate on his own. It was great that Chu Xiang could help him. As for Chu Xiang, after seeing Xiao Chen's saber skills, she was already tempted. Even if the other party did not mention it, she would have taken the initiative to bring it up. It would also be of great help to her. Xiao. With that, a sword appeared in Chu Xiang's hand, and she swung it at Xiao Chen. As the long sword was unsheathed, rays of light shone out. Immediately, the courtyard was filled with vitality. Hundreds of flowers suddenly appeared between the ground and the ground. The moment the flowers bloomed, Chu Xiang's sword also arrived in front of Xiao Chen. Among the hundreds of flowers, her sword was the king of the flowers. Under the scorching sun, he bloomed proudly. What a powerful life force! Xiao Chen felt shocked in his heart. To think that Chu Xiang cultivated the life Tao. This reminded him of the merfolk Yen Sangming, who cultivated the death Tao. Compared to the Tao of death, the Tao of life was much harder to cultivate. However, be it the life Tao or the death Tao, they were both special great Taos that stood above the wind Tao, fire Tao, lightning Tao, and the other elemental Taos. Xiao Chen did not dare to underestimate him. He immediately drew his tyrant saber. Infusing the thunder great Tao into the great Tao, Xiao Chen swung his saber to block this unstoppable, exuberant life force. When the saber and sword clashed, Chu Xiang was shocked to discover that the two of them were actually evenly matched. She had advanced to sovereign personage 2 years ago. Without a doubt, her cultivation was much denser than Xiao Chen's. However, she could not suppress Xiao Chen, who had just advanced to sovereign personage. Without any time to think, Zhang Xian flicked his wrist, and the 100 flowers fluttering petals swiftly changed his move. Under the scorching sun, one of them used a saber while the other used a sword, exchanging blows with each other. Neither of them wanted to give in to the other, and neither of them wanted to admit defeat. Gradually, the two of them began to unleash the strength they had been suppressing. They were evenly matched, and Chu Xiang had the upper hand. After all, he came from the heavenly fragrance Holy Land, and advanced to sovereign personage 2 years earlier than Xiao Chen. Furthermore, this was just a spar. Xiao Chen had many trump cards that he could not use. Such an outcome was reasonable. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Xiao Chen exchanged moves with Chu Xiang during the day, and stabilized his cultivation at night. He did not notice the passage of time. Just like that, 2 days passed just like that before he could do his best. However, even if he wanted to continue, he had to stop. The Wine King contest was about to begin. No more fighting. Chu Xiang sheathed her sword, feeling some lingering fear. She still had a slight advantage on the first day. On the second day, he couldn't hold on any longer. Furthermore, this was before Xiao Chen executed that horrifying killing move. Chu Xiang had never seen a bladesman with such startling comprehension ability. His comprehension was so strong that it made people feel a little scared. Xiao Chen asked softly, "Miss Chu, do you want to participate in the Wine King contest with me?" Chu Xiang smiled faintly and replied, "I'm afraid not. I have to go with the Holy Daughter. Senior Sister is a specially invited appraiser." You can secretly approach Senior Sister now, and use your connections." Xiao Chen knew that the other party was joking. He performed a cup-fist salute and said, "I'll take my leave first, then. Let's meet at the Wine King contest." "Right. I look forward to your good performance." After saying goodbye to Chu Xiang, Xiao Chen headed to the Wine King contest with Iron Egg. The venue of the Wine King contest was in the City Lord's residence. Today, the City Lord's residence was open to the public and exceptionally bustling. However, ordinary people could only watch the Wine King contest from the outer courtyard, and could not enter the inner courtyard. "Brother Xiao," someone called out to Xiao Chen at an intersection. When he turned his head back, he saw that it was the Ice Snow Mountain Manor's Yihan. What a coincidence! Xiao Chen had a good impression of this person, so he replied softly, "This is not a coincidence. I've been waiting for young Master Xiao at this intersection for 5 days already. Young Master Xiao never came to my Ice Snow Mountain Manor's residence, so I could only wait here." Yihan did not hide anything, directly stating that he had purposely waited here for Xiao Chen. Only now did Xiao Chen recall that before Yi Han left a few days ago, he did invite him to the Ice Snow Mountain Manor. Unfortunately, time was too tight, so Xiao Chen had completely forgotten about it. Sorry, young Master Yi. Why are you looking for me? Yi Han looked around. There were many people and carriages on the streets, but no one paid attention to the two of them. Yi Han walked over and whispered, If young Master Xiao wins the Wine King contest, will you give me the ethereal immortal palace's key? Of course, the price is negotiable. I will definitely not disappoint young Master Xiao. The ethereal immortal palace again. Xiao Chen's expression did not change as he said calmly, Brother Yi really thinks highly of me. Let's talk about it later. In any case, that Xiahou Wu will definitely not agree to it. I can only try to get young Master Xiao. If you agree, you can come and look for me at any time. Yi Han did not say anything more. After saying that, he performed a cupped fist salute and took his leave. Yi Han did not show any intention of traveling with Xiao Chen. As Xiao Chen looked at Yi Han's departing figure, he entered deep thought. It looks like I have to spend some time to find out what kind of existence the ethereal immortal palace is. Xiao Chen continued on his way. Half an hour later, Xiao Chen arrived at the city lord's residence and handed over his invitation, successfully entering the inner courtyard. The venue for the Wine King contest was set up on a tall platform. After entering the inner courtyard, someone led Xiao Chen to the tall platform to take a seat. The tall platform was already filled with people. When Xiao Chen looked around, he found many of them familiar. They were the guests at the Heavenly Fragrance Palace that day. Their gazes were hostile, but there was no murderous intent. Only two people were exceptions. One was the Hound Lion Empire's crown prince, Xiahou Wu. Great Master Yuanfei stood behind him, smiling coldly as he looked at Xiao Chen. The other person sat beside Pei Xiaoxian. This person had a sullen expression, pitch-black eyes, and extremely heavy demonic qi spreading from his body. Due to the different demonic cultivation techniques one cultivated, demonic qi was ever-changing. The characteristics of the other party's demonic qi were very familiar to Xiao Chen. Many of the Heavenly Slaughter sect cultivators he had killed had this aura. The Heavenly Slaughter sect's young sect master, Wang Yun. A name immediately appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. He guessed this person's identity, but his expression did not change as he sat down calmly. This Xiao Chen is really bold. To think that his expression did not change at all when he saw Wang Yun. He probably does not know how horrifying Wang Yun's strength is. I can tell that Great Master Yuanfei's gaze on this fellow is somewhat strange as well. Who knows what's going on? You still don't know? The wine that this fellow brought was brewed by old Du Qi. How could Great Master Yuanfei find him pleasing to the eye? Haha, there will be a good show to watch now. On the high platform, many people were whispering and discussing in low voices. Suddenly, a group of people walked over from behind the tall platform. One of them was a middle-aged man who looked extraordinary. He was casually dressed and had an unruly smile on his face. His two glasses were slightly red, and he seemed to be a little drunk. This was Peach Blossom City's city lord, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. Aside from the city lord's residence's experts, there was also a group of appraisers that the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter had invited over. Greetings, City Lord. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor was no ordinary sovereign emperor. He possessed extremely horrifying strength. Even those demonic Dao outstanding talents had to give him face. At this moment, he didn't dare to be impudent and obediently bowed. Haha, you're welcome. It's time for the Centennial Wine Party again. Thank you, everyone, for taking the trouble to bring me good wine. I don't like red tape, and I don't like to talk nonsense. Drink 3 glasses with me first. After 3 cups, we'll talk about the Wine King contest. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor appeared rather laid back. He stumbled over to the host's seat and casually waved his wide sleeves. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of wine cups flew out from his sleeves and shot toward him. Bang, bang, bang. The wine cups instantly struck a few loose cultivators with weak cultivations. They vomited a mouthful of blood, and all their bones shattered as they went flying back in miserable states. These loose cultivators fell off the tall platform, losing their qualifications to continue participating in the wine party. Xiaochen felt somewhat surprised. Unexpectedly, there was such a thing. The other participants were also somewhat surprised. There had not been such a rule in the past. However, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's way of doing things was unfathomable, with no rules to follow. Right now there was no time to think too much. Xiaochen had to catch 3 cups of wine first. Otherwise, he would be eliminated before it started. Chapter 2052. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's move caught everyone by surprise. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's attack instantly knocked 4 or 5 people into the air, causing them to fall off the tall platform in a sorry state. Even a sovereign personage could not withstand an attack from this wine cup. How strong was the energy contained in the wine cup? How startling was it? However, the many winemakers standing on the tall platform were not injured. When the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor made his move, his target was clear. He would not harm the innocent. Xiaochen had no more than 3 seconds to think. If he could not make a decision within 3 seconds, he could only dodge. Soon the wine cups would empty. Even if he wanted to attack, he would not have a target. In the time it took for a spark to fly, the demand on the outstanding talents here was so high that it made one's hair stand on end. Xiaochen thought for only 1 second before making his move at lightning speed. He instantly circulated his vital qi and fixed his gaze on the wine cups flying at him. Then Xiaochen caught one of the wine cups. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The wine spun in the cup at a startling speed. A huge force surged out from the cup, numbing Xiaochen's arms slightly. Xiaochen's footing was somewhat unstable, but he did not fluster in the face of danger. He swung his right hand slightly and scattered the force. Then he firmly placed the wine cup on the table. Bang! Just as Xiaochen caught the wine cup, the arms of a few rank 7 sect true inheritors who also caught the wine cup broke. Led by the wine glass, flew out. 2 cups. After stabilizing the first cup, Xiaochen moved much more easily, placing the wine cup on the table. Interesting. I like it to be more interesting. Pei Xiaoxian was the first to catch the 3 wine cups. After drinking wildly, he guffawed. Then he ferociously attacked, sending out energy. Ing. Dang. Dang. Hundreds of wine cups immediately shattered. The scattered wine splattered in all directions like raindrops with great force. Immediately, many people were hit by the splashes. Their skin and flesh were lacerated as they screamed in pain. Here's a cup for you. Xiaohu suddenly let out an evil laugh, fiercely pushing the cup of wine in his hand towards Xiaochen. With a kacha sound, Xiaochen was just about to receive the cup of wine. On the spot, it was smashed by the flying wine cup, and the fragments flew everywhere. They were all sharp weapons that could injure people. Xiaochen's expression did not change. He gently waved his right hand and saber winds spread everywhere. These boundless fragments transformed into a wild storm of blades that swept towards Xiaohu. The Xiaohu who was waiting for Xiaochen to make a fool of himself jumped in fright. He had never expected this to happen. Xiaochen casually resolved the crisis and even materialized such a terrifying saber wind. Seeing that he could not dodge in time, he quickly dodged in a sorry state. After this game, Xiaohu did not dare to find trouble with Xiaochen. He focused on receiving his 3rd cup of wine. When all the wine glasses in the air had flown away, only 9 people managed to catch 3 cups. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's move eliminated most of the participants in the Wine King contest. Not bad. There are still 9 people remaining. I know that many of you are here for the Ethereal Immortal Palace's treasure key. Without any strength, obtaining the key is just sending yourself to death. Don't blame me for chasing you away. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor showed a smile that did not seem like a smile. To him, the Wine King contest was more like a game. The defeated cultivators and the people from the outer courtyard watching the excitement now understood. So that is the case. No wonder the previous Wine King contests did not have such a move. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor paused for a while before saying, "After drinking my wine, it is time for me to drink yours. Come, bring out your wine. Let me see what good wine old Chui chose for me." The Heavenly Slaughter Sect's young sect master, Wang Yun, clapped his hands, and the wine master behind him quickly took out a wine flask. After receiving the flask, Wang Yun walked out first. I specially prepared this flask of unfettered sky for Senior Peach Blossom. It is a forbidden wine of the Blood Moon Dynasty. With just 1 cup, one can achieve all one's wishes. Fellow appraisers, please consider carefully before you drink it. Wang Yun was very confident in his unfettered sky, revealing a smile on his face. Unfettered sky. Rumor has it that ordinary people cannot drink this wine. Just 1 sip will make one die from happiness. Even if you are a martial artist, if you do not have an outstanding state of mind, you cannot simply drink. The ingredients for such a forbidden wine are extremely rare. To think that Wang Yun managed to find it. I thought that Xiaowu would win this time. It looks like it is going to be difficult. Wang Yun felt very cocky when he heard these discussions. However, drunkard Cui, who was beside the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor, waved his hand and said, "Go down first. The people behind are still waiting." Wang Yun could not help feeling somewhat embarrassed. He thought that the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor would look at him in a different light after he delivered this forbidden wine. Wang Yun had only spoken a few words with Wang Yun. Unexpectedly, Senior Cui chased him away. In that case, this junior will take his leave first. After Wang Yun left, Pei Xiaoxian stepped forward, carrying a round wine flask with both hands. The wine flask was covered in mud, looking very old. Pei Xiaoxian smiled and said, "I don't know what wine this is either. It was dug out from underground and has never been opened before. I estimate that it has at least 3,000 years of history. Let's see if the city lord likes it." As soon as these words came out, there was an uproar. This Pei Xiaoxian is really messing around. How dare he participate in the Wine King contest with wine that he dug out from a pile of corpses? What made him even more speechless was that he didn't even know what kind of wine it was. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor raised his eyelids slightly and glanced at Pei Xiaoxian. Then he asked, "Don't you find it heavy?" Pei Xiaoxian smiled and said, "It is quite heavy." Pa. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor clapped his hands ferociously, and the soil on the wine bottle cracked. Then the wine bottle exploded. It revealed a white crystal glass-like skull that flickered with cold light. It was incomparably sinister and cold. This was actually a wine cup made from a skull. The owner of the skull was at least a sovereign emperor when he was alive. The sinister skull that suddenly appeared startled everyone. Pei Xiaoxian could not help taking a few steps back, his complexion pale. He didn't expect that he was hugging a skull. Inside the skull, there was some liquid that sparkled under the sunlight. "You may leave," the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor said indifferently. Only then did Pei Xiaoxian leave with some lingering fear in his heart. The people who were mocking Pei Xiaoxian earlier all kept their mouths shut, completely stunned. First, there was Wang Yun's unfettered sky forbidden wine. Now there was Pei Xiaoxian's mysterious skull wine. The wines of the 2 demonic Dao cultivators were completely unconventional, turning this Wine King struggle into a confusing affair. Following that, the others stepped forward and offered up the wines they brought. Without exception, all of them were excellent brews of the world, opening everyone's horizons and making them sigh in amazement. When Xiaowu stepped forward and brought out the 9-colored divine phoenix that great master Yuanfei brewed, everyone was shocked. My goodness! It is actually the 9-colored divine phoenix. Great master Yuanfei truly lives up to his name. This is the 9-colored divine phoenix. Since great master Neng Xinyun passed away 500 years ago, no one has been able to brew the 9-colored divine phoenix. Unexpectedly, I get to see this wine again today. I thought that the demonic Dao cultivators would snatch away the title of Wine King. Unexpectedly, a great master is truly a great master. To think that he took out the 9-colored divine phoenix. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor could not help showing a slight change in expression. He said softly, "I finished the last bottle of the 9-colored divine phoenix 100 years ago. Unexpectedly, I get to see it again today. Great master, many thanks." On the tall platform, Great Master Yuanfei pressed his palms together and returned the bow. "City Lord, you are too polite. Excellent brews only exist for true winemakers. Without the Peach Blossom Wine Festival, there would be no 9-colored divine phoenix." These words made the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor happy. he said to Xiahou Wu. Stay behind and sit beside me then. Xiahou Wu rejoiced. After bowing, he quickly walked over. This action set the crowd abuzz. With the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's generous gift, it looked like the title of Wine King would fall to Great Master Yuanfei again. The victor of this Wine King contest was still Xiahou Wu. Now that the 9 people offered up their excellent brews, only Xiaochen remained. Xiaochen had 2 choices. One was to take out Waning Moon to compete, and the other was to take out Heartburn. However, honestly speaking, even if he took out Heartburn, he might not win. Xiaochen had not expected Xiahou Wu to bring the 9-colored Divine Phoenix. The grade of this wine was no lower than Heartburn's. This was especially so after Great Master Heartcloud passed away. No one had been able to brew it for hundreds of years, making it even more precious. Most importantly, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor clearly missed this 9-colored Divine Phoenix and had a special liking for it. When Xiahou Wu saw that Xiaochen did not move, he smiled and said, Xiaochen, why are you still not stepping forward? If you feel ashamed of your inferiority, you can forfeit. There is no need to feel embarrassed. Indeed, the 8 wines that took the stage could all be called excellent brews. Some of the eliminated people even celebrated in their hearts, glad that they managed to survive. If they were still here and took out a wine of too low a grade, they would have embarrassed themselves too much. There was no way to compete at all. The others had similar thoughts as Xiahou Wu. They felt that Xiaochen should be ashamed that he could not take out a wine of the same grade. When the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor saw the situation, he consoled softly, Little friend, just step forward. There is no need to worry. Being able to stand until the end is already a success. No matter what wine you bring, even if it is just a cup of water, it is better than those who are not qualified to stand here. When Xiaochen heard that, he could not help feeling somewhat disappointed. Xiaochen was a smart person. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's words were just a form of consolation. The meaning of the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's words was very clear. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor already had a wine that he liked. No matter what wine Xiaochen brought, it did not matter. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor was already satisfied. Xiaochen smiled bitterly and did not say anything. He stepped forward and placed Heartburn with the other wines. Then he left without saying a word. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor only loved the 9-colored Divine Phoenix. All the other wines were destined to serve as foils. Chapter 2053. Xiahou Wu took over and said loudly, This wine has. Everyone slapped the table and could not help cheering. However, they were afraid of disrupting this beautiful zither music. Seeing Xiaochen remain silent, Xiahou Wu revealed a victorious smile. There was no need to say who the champion was. Everyone laughed and evaluated each other. Wang Yun's Unfettered Sky, Pei Xiaoshuan's Bone-Grinding Wine, Yihan's Heavenly Ice, the Profound Heaven's Holy Sun's Flying Cloud Wine, Xiaochen's Heartburn, Xiahou Wu's 9-colored Divine Phoenix. Xiaochen stretched out his hand and caught a snowflake. It melted on contact, and his hand felt cold. It looked extremely ordinary. When Xiaochen looked at the wine cup and saw that the wine was even more ordinary, he could not help mocking it. The entire place erupted into an uproar. As everyone looked at the wine cup containing the 9-colored Divine Phoenix, their eyes blazed with desire. Such a scene was considered a miracle at the wine party, eliciting mockery from the cultivators of the inner and outer courtyards. Immediately, countless envious gazes landed on the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter. Many people felt their mouths go dry. They wanted to go forward and drink the wine in one go. The prohibition of alcohol truly lived up to its name. Just one look was already so frightening. What would happen if one really drank it? The other appraisers quickly put down their wine cups and quickly walked over. The mysterious phenomenon materialized by Wenren Yu's Flying Cloud wine perfectly demonstrated what it meant to be ethereal. A hazy fog rose up from the unfettered sky along with the wine, materializing a twisted illusion. Everyone saw a different illusion in the hazy fog. They were all the desires buried in the depths of their hearts. The previously bustling city lord's residence instantly fell deathly silent, devoid of any sound. The place immediately turned noisy. The originally relaxed wine party immediately turned tense. After taking a sip, The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter put down her wine cup and praised, "This is indeed an excellent wine. Even the legendary Jade Lake Immortal Brew is not as good as this." An older old man could not bear to see Xiao Chun in such an awkward situation. He walked over and picked up Heartburn. The wine that fell was like a spirit spring falling from a celestial river in the sky. If it weren't for the fact that it was on the same stage as the 9-colored Divine Phoenix, the other top-grade wines would have had the opportunity to become the main characters. As the wine was poured into the glass, thin snowflakes gushed out. Snowflakes fluttered about, spreading out and drifting over the entire high platform. "Master Feng, what happened to you?" The moment the light appeared, it immediately attracted everyone's attention, causing them to inhale a mouthful of cold air. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Lord waved his hand, and a few attendants immediately stepped forward to pour wine. As expected of an excellent wine. How rare. A 9-colored Divine Phoenix. To be able to see a 9-colored Divine Phoenix in my lifetime, I am satisfied. Knowing that it was no match for Zhang Xian, the 9-colored Divine Phoenix casually picked up a flask of wine to make up for it. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor looked at the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter and said, "Since the holy daughter is willing to give me face and come over, I will let the holy daughter taste the first cup of 9-colored Divine Phoenix wine." Just a gentle breath of the multicolored light made one feel refreshed. As the flowing water hit the wine glass, it produced a quiet and rhythmic tune. Wenrinyu smiled faintly and took out the zither on her back. She casually plucked the zither strings with one hand, and the beautiful zither music immediately merged with the tune of the wine. To think that he dares to bring poisoned wine to the Peach Blossom Wine Festival. Does he not know how to spell death? 9 types of excellent wines were placed before the Peach Blossom Sovereign Lord and the many appraisers. With one look, it was clear that this wine was prepared for an ancient demonic sovereign. Whoosh! When Xiaohu heard the appraiser's words, he could no longer hide the cocky feeling in his heart. He could trample on the profound heaven's holy son, Yi Han, Pei Shaoxian, and the others. Even if it was just a wine festival, it was enough to make him feel proud. 9 attendants raised the 9 wines at the same time and slowly tilted them. The fragrant wine turned into strands of gorgeous silver light under the sunlight, and fell into the wine glass. There was a saying, "The success of a general rests on the bones of 10,000 people." How many corpses were there under the feet of an ancient demonic sovereign? Without an unparalleled tyranny, one would not be able to suppress the baleful aura in the wine glass, not even able to raise it. Of the 9 people present, aside from Xiaohu, no one else had been invited. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Lord looked at the other impatient appraisers. Then he smiled and said, "Everyone, feel free to taste the wine." Poison. This was the charm of the unfettered sky. The more one abstained from alcohol, the more tempting it was. These appraisers are too much. At the very least, they are just putting on a show. This is too hurtful. Plop! Xiao Chun fell heavily to the ground, his fate unknown. Be it the 2 unconventional demonic wines, the profound heaven's holy son's flying cloud wine, or Yi Han's heavenly ice wine, they all pale in comparison. What is a wine king? This is the true wine king, suppressing the righteous and evil, standing out above everyone else. This is the king of wine. There was a total of 9 bottles of wine, 9 types of excellent wine competing for the title of Wine King. The Holy Daughter overpraises me. If you are willing, I am willing to offer up another flask at the Heavenly Fragrance Banquet. The wine cup emitted a 9-colored glow as the wine was poured into it. This Peach Blossom Wine Festival far surpassed the previous ones, creating a history that would not be surpassed for a long time. However, the mysterious phenomenon materialized by Pei Shaoxuan's demonic bone wine was incredibly sinister, radiating a horrifying cold qi. What flowed out of the skulls did not seem like wine but terrifying corpses. The wine cup contained a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Indeed, who could have imagined that the people left behind would bring out such excellent wines? Even the 9-colored Divine Phoenix came out. Xiao Chun can only blame himself for being unlucky. How could the Peach Blossom Wine Festival be treated like this? However, they still had to go through the necessary procedures. They had to cover their mouths the moment they opened them. It had to be said that the mysterious phenomenon of so many excellent wines appearing at the same time was a feast for the eyes. However, Xiao Chen's heartburn remained quietly on the table, no one touching it. After the 9 kinds of wine were poured, it was time to taste the wine. Even the peach blossom sovereign emperor's expression changed slightly. As his gaze fell on Xiao Chun, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. The multicolored light became increasingly resplendent, flowing with many colors and changing many forms. "Senior sister, what's going on? What wine did young Master Xiao give?" Chu Xiang asked the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter somewhat anxiously. "Although the wine of the others is slightly inferior, it is not that much inferior. It is still very attractive and people are willing to drink it." The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor had not specifically thanked any winemaker to show his respect. This nameless ancient wine inspired fear in everyone, not daring to look at it for long. "This is too embarrassing. Fortunately, I did not go up. Otherwise, I would have ended up like this." Compared to these 2 unconventional demonic wines, Yihan's heavenly ice wine was like a clear stream. "I thought that this wine would never appear again. Who could have thought that it would appear in Great Master Yuanfei's hands?" Each of these wines had their own merits and could be said to be unique. However, after the 9-colored divine phoenix phenomenon appeared, the other mysterious phenomena instantly paled in comparison. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter replied softly, "Many thanks, Crown Prince Xiahou." This fellow had also given up on himself. An awkward scene appeared. Even the unfettered sky and the cold demon bone wine had appraisers willing to try it. Hee, if I were one of these appraisers, I would do the same. At the very least, you have to taste all of these top-grade wines. The clouds swirled, and the wine in the jug pierced through them. It was as if it was falling from an altitude of 10,000 meters, turning into a clear waterfall that fell into the wine cup. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor was in a good mood. When he saw this, he did not say anything. Instead, he looked at the 9-colored divine phoenix with a fervent gaze. Putting down the wine cup, Zhang Xian was just about to leave when his face suddenly warped. He clutched his chest, revealing an expression of extreme pain. There were also people who saw themselves hugging 2 beauties, with the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter on their left. On his right was the white dragon holy daughter, and behind him was a group of heavenly fragrance's disciples. The scene was rather alluring. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter shook her head and said, "I don't know either. However, this wine should not be an ordinary wine. It is not as simple as it looks." Everyone's gazes fell on Xiao Chun, feeling extremely incredulous. When these people looked around, they suddenly discovered that the wine that Xiao Chun served did not show any mysterious phenomenon. Naturally, the result went without saying. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor raised his hand and flicked away the people charging at him. When the wine cup was filled, a bright multicolored light ignited and turned into a fierce flame. When the wine cup was filled with the heavenly ice wine, the snowflakes that spewed out slowly gathered and formed an ice flower swaying in the air. The appraisers immediately stood up and poured a glass of the wine they liked. As the wine flowed out of the wine bottles, all sorts of magnificent mysterious phenomena appeared. Of course, not everyone felt that burning heart, which was served without any introduction, could be considered as a top-grade wine. Right after the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor spoke, an envoy brought wine cups to the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter. There were even some people who could not resist the temptation and flew up, wanting to charge into the tall platform. Ding, 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 dang. Some people saw themselves becoming famous, surpassing sovereign personages, and becoming a sovereign emperor. A divine phoenix soared out of the flames and soared into the sky. Then it circled the tall platform, attracting everyone's gazes. Unfortunately, there were no ifs. With just one look at such a fine wine, one would find it pleasing to the eye. When one felt a chill, one's heart instantly calmed down. As one stared at the ice flower, one's heart swayed with it, recalling the many happy and peaceful memories of the past. When these people met this 9-colored divine phoenix, they were destined to lose their splendor, becoming foils. These people whispered to each other and shook their heads, showing dissatisfaction and disappointment in their eyes. This mocking voice attracted the attention of others. Many appraisers looked at Xiao Chen's wine cup. Whoosh! The divine phoenix flapped its wings, and multicolored light descended. The entire city lord's residence bathed in this multicolored light. After taking a look, the divine phoenix raised its wine cup and casually drank it. This wine is poisonous. Up on the tall platform, just as the holy daughter prepared to move and try heartburn, the cultivators of the inner and outer courtyards all showed shocked expressions, sighing in amazement. After receiving this praise, Xiahou Wu's eyes filled with pride as he casually made a promise. The old man known as Grandmaster Feng showed a pained expression as he pointed to the wine flask on the table. However, before he finished speaking, he stopped. However, just as Xiahou Wu was about to continue speaking, the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter stopped him. Then, she looked at the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor and said, "City Lord, I have interacted with Xiao Chen before. He is definitely not such a person. Let him have a look. With me here, I can guarantee this lord's life." Now that the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter spoke up for Xiao Chen, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor had to give her some face. He said seriously, "I'll give you 10 minutes. If you cannot give a reason, there is no need for you to exist. No one has ever dared to cause trouble at my Peach Blossom Wine Festival." The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's expression remained calm, showing no signs of anger. However, Xiao Chen was well aware of the danger of the situation. The other party was not lying. As long as the other party wanted to, they could make Xiao Chen disappear from this world in an instant. Xiao Chen's life hung on a thread. He could not afford any mishaps. "Many thanks, City Lord." Xiao Chen stepped forward and looked at the old man on the ground. Then he sent in his spiritual sense. After a while, Xiao Chen frowned slightly. The old man was indeed not breathing, and his heart had stopped beating. The old man's life force was extremely weak. No matter how Xiao Chen looked at it, he looked like he was in grave danger. "What's going on?" Seeing Xiao Chen's confused expression, Xiahou Wu said coldly, "Quickly leave. Don't delay the treatment. Otherwise, even the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter will not be able to protect you if he dies." Clearly, Xiahou Wu was very rude to the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter for interrupting him. "What's going on?" Xiao Chen did not hear what Xiahou Wu said at all. He was only thinking about the reason. Suddenly, he remembered the feeling he had when he drank heartburn for the first time. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up. Then he asked the person beside him, "Old sir, what was your previous cultivation?" "Great perfection, sovereign personage. What's wrong?" The city lord's residence's people did not understand why Xiao Chen asked this. However, they still answered honestly. Xiao Chen revealed a smile on his face. Then he stood up and looked at the city lord. "City Lord, it was just a false alarm. I already know the reason." The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor showed an unfathomable expression as he asked indifferently, "What reason?" This old sir was not injured, much less poisoned. He was just drunk. Xiao Chen explained calmly, enunciating every word. "Ha ha ha ha. He was drunk." Xiahou Wu felt stunned when he heard that. Then he guffawed. "Xiao Chen, are you joking? Do you know who these appraisers are? They are all famous wine tasters of the desolate sea. They have been drinking wine for hundreds of years." "Drunk? When they were drinking wine, you were not even born yet." It was not just Xiahou Wu. When the others present heard Xiao Chen's words, they could not help laughing. "Is this Xiao Chen crazy? I think he really is crazy." Without a certain level of appreciation, why would the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor invite them over? Earlier, those grandmasters drank so many excellent brews and did not get drunk. It is impossible for this lousy wine to get drunk from just one cup. What a joke. I believe that these appraisers have tasted all kinds of excellent brews before. I have never heard of anyone getting drunk before. The Peach Blossom Wine Festival has a history of several thousand years. I have never heard of an appraiser getting drunk before, right? The cultivators in and out of the city lord's residence discussed this matter. They all showed expressions of disbelief and mocked Xiao Chen. speaking big words. Are you not afraid of biting your tongue? Senior Bai did not even get drunk from my unfettered sky. How can he get drunk from your lousy wine? The heavenly slaughter sex Wang Yin already disliked Xiao Chen. When he heard Xiao Chen's explanation, he could not help scolding him coldly. Indeed, Xiao Chen's words were somewhat exaggerated. To those who drank wine, getting drunk was already a rare occurrence. After all, they were all cultivators. It was not easy to get drunk. Furthermore, Xiao Chen only drank 1 cup. How could that be? If that was true, then wouldn't Xiao Chen's wine be even more amazing than the excellent brews that they brought? Humph. What a joke. This old man has brewed so many wines, but I have never seen a wine that can get someone drunk from just 1 cup. 30 years ago, old Seventh Du said the same thing. Even after 30 years, his temper has not changed. Great Master Yuanfei could no longer sit still. He stood up and snorted coldly, looking at Xiao Chen in dissatisfaction. Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly, and anger flashed in his eyes. Great Master, you can just say it about me. There is no need to implicate Lord Seventh. Great Master Yuanfei smiled coldly and said, Why can't I say it? A trashy brewer hiding in a remote and desolate place for 30 years actually dares to let a descendant come out and embarrass himself. I think this Peach Blossom Wine Festival is getting worse. Anyone can come and participate. Your Highness, let's go. There is no need to remain in this place. Xiahou Wu's lips curled up as he said, That's true. A trash giving away a cup of lousy wine. Yet he dares to boast shamelessly. Hee, my 9-colored divine phoenix can't make people drunk. It's embarrassing. Your Highness, I think there is no need to send the 9-colored divine phoenix to your heavenly fragrance banquet. Just bring Xiao Chen's lousy wine. Right after Xiahou Wu spoke, he tidied up the 9-colored divine phoenix and prepared to leave. The other appraisers quickly stepped forward and tried to persuade Xiahou Wu with kind words. Immediately, Xiahou Wu gained a lot of face. He smiled and said, Everyone, it is not that I do not want to stay. It is just that my 9-colored divine phoenix cannot compare to this lousy wine. It cannot make everyone drunk. Sorry for the ridicule. The place immediately turned somewhat chaotic. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's expression changed slightly. This was the first time he showed anger. Xiao Chen's words were indeed somewhat overboard. City Lord. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter's heart skipped a beat. She knew that the situation was bad, so she quickly called out. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor waved his hand to stop the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter from continuing. He said indifferently, I already gave him a chance, but he is still trying to run his mouth in front of me, spouting nonsense. Damn it! Xiao Chen panicked. Unable to care about anything else, he immediately kicked the old man on the ground. Ouch! Who kicked me? A miserable shriek came from below. Old Bai, who was lying on the ground, his fate uncertain, suddenly cried out miserably. Old Bai stood up in a daze, staggering. His face flushed red as he looked around, appearing confused. He woke up. Based on Old Bai's confused appearance, he was clearly a drunkard who had just woken up. Up on the stage, the appraisers and geniuses were all dumbfounded. He really did wake up. This was especially so for Xiahou Wu. He was stupefied, not knowing what was going on. Who kicked me? Old Bai shook his head and recovered somewhat. However, rage filled his face. A murderous intent even flashed in his eyes. A terrifying aura burst out of Old Bai's body, eliciting startled cries. Consummation Peak Sovereign Personage. The tall platform immediately fell silent. Everyone was stupefied. Old Bai broke through. All he did was drink a cup of wine and sleep. Unexpectedly, he broke through the bottleneck that he had been stuck at for hundreds of years. What exactly is this wine? This question lingered in everyone's hearts. 2163. Who kicked me? While everyone was shocked, Old Bai, who had stood up, did not give up. He demanded furiously, burning with rage. The others appeared confused, not knowing what to do. They did not understand why Old Bai was so angry. Xiao Chen replied calmly, I did it. Damn it. This old man nearly touched the threshold of Divine Vein Realm Sovereign Emperor. Murderous intent immediately radiated from Old Bai. However, When he saw that the person who came was Xiao Chun, he showed a stunned expression. Old Bai withdrew his murderous intent and said somewhat embarrassedly, "So it is young Master Xiao. Sorry for the offense." Seeing that Xiao Chun had kicked him, Old Bai's attitude immediately changed 180 degrees, quickly apologizing. However, the others did not pay much attention to this. Instead, they were stunned by Old Bai's earlier words. Xiao Chun nearly touched the threshold of Divine Vein Realm Sovereign Emperor. What exactly is this wine? The people at the scene were going crazy, including those outstanding talents. They were all dumbfounded. Old Bai's words were somewhat exaggerated. However, what happened to Xiao Chun forced everyone to believe it. Previously, who would have believed that someone would break through the bottleneck of Great Perfection's sovereign personage after getting drunk? Great Master Yuan Fei was somewhat stunned. Unexpectedly, such a thing happened. Could it be that Old Du really brewed such a miraculous wine? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Great Master Yuan Fei rushed towards the heartburn somewhat crazily, wanting to find out what it was. Whoosh! However, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor was faster. He stretched out his hand and caught the wine bottle. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor removed the lid and gently sniffed. It was just an ordinary wine fragrance, nothing strange about it. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor could not help frowning slightly. To think that there was a peak wine that he did not know about in this world. At this moment, everyone knew that the bottle of wine that Xiao Chun brought over was not poisoned but a peak quality brew. It had an incredibly miraculous effect, far surpassing that of the other 8 peak wines. However, when the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor sniffed it, he showed a confused expression, unable to guess anything. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor could not help looking at Xiao Chun and asking, "Little friend, what wine is this?" "Heartburn." Xiao Chun answered calmly, resolving the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's doubts. "Heartburn." The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's eyelids twitched. He asked somewhat excitedly, "Is this the strongest wine of the dragon race, Heartburn, which has not appeared in 5,000 years?" Xiao Chun nodded. "That's right." Whoosh! The moment Xiao Chun said that, a huge commotion broke out. Everyone showed incredulous expressions. "Heartburn? What wine is this? How come I've never heard of it? Does anyone know? It has been lost for far too long. 5,000 years ago, the Dragon Emperor bestowed the last flask of heartburn to someone in the Divine Dragon Empire. As for the recipe, it was lost long ago. The origins of this wine are too great. No wonder there were no magnificent mysterious phenomena. It turns out that it is a strong wine. This Xiao Chun really hit his strength. I heard that back then, someone was willing to use a jade mine to exchange for a flask of heartburn. The people on the tall platform showed all sorts of expressions. Some were shocked, some found it strange, and some felt incredibly disappointed. When Great Master Yuan Fei heard the words heartburn, he said somewhat dispiritedly, "Heartburn? How could he brew heartburn? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Lord City Lord, please let me have a sip. Otherwise, I will not be able to accept this. Drink a sip." Haha. Didn't Great Master say that he was leaving earlier? Why are you still here? Now no one is begging you to stay. However, the Ice Snow Mountain Manor's Yihan laughed faintly at this moment. His laughter was filled with mockery. This made Xiahou Wu feel embarrassed. He had been too cocky earlier, thinking about the 9-colored Divine Phoenix. No matter what, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor would give in under pressure. After dealing with Xiao Chun, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor had not expected Xiao Chun to take out heartburn. Naturally, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor could not agree to Great Master Yuan Fei's request. He said calmly, "Someone send Great Master off." "No, I'm not leaving. Let me have a sip. I don't believe it. I don't believe that old 7 can brew heartburn." However, Great Master Yuan Fei seemed somewhat deranged. He continuously shoved the people sending him off, appearing somewhat frenzied. How stubborn. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor lost his patience. He had always respected the brewer. However, such nonsense crossed his bottom line. These people seemed to have forgotten that he was a Divine Vein Realm Sovereign Emperor. Pa. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor did not see the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor do anything, but he directly sent Great Master Yuanfei flying. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor looked at Xiahou Wu and said, "Crown Prince Xiahou, please go ahead." After all, Xiahou Wu was the Crown Prince of the Hound Lion Empire. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor gave him some face, making an inviting gesture with his hand. Xiahou Wu's face was completely lost. In front of everyone, he felt a burning pain on his face. "Many thanks for Lord City Lord's magnanimity. Goodbye." Xiahou Wu showed a cold expression, not saying a word as he quickly left with his head lowered. Xiahou Wu did not want to remain in this place for even a moment longer. He had never been so embarrassed in his life. This was especially so when he pretended to leave in front of everyone. Who knew, he ended up overreacting. He would probably be the laughingstock of the desolate sea for a long time. When Xiao Chun saw this scene, he felt some joy amid his calmness. If one did not seek trouble, one would not die. This Xiahou Wu kept jumping around. In the end, Xiao Chun slapped his face until it swelled up. Xiahou Wu had only himself to blame. However, what made Xiao Chun happy was that Grandpa 7 finally proved himself by not stepping into Peach Blossom City for 30 years. 30 years later, Xiao Chun finally fulfilled Grandpa 7's long-cherished wish with the heartburn that Grandpa 7 brewed. "Xiao Chun, why did you not explain the origins of this wine earlier?" The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor looked at Xiao Chun in confusion, feeling suspicious. The others did not understand either. If Xiao Chun had introduced this wine as heartburn, Xiahou Wu would not have dared to jump around like that. Or could it be that Xiao Chun was very scheming and purposely dug a hole for Xiahou Wu? If that was the case, it would be too scary. Xiao Chun said honestly, "I did not know that heartburn would have such value. In reality, I already drank a flask of heartburn before, but it did not benefit as much as this old sir. I only felt that it was sufficiently strong and that it was a good flask." Furthermore, the city lord clearly fell in love with the 9-colored divine phoenix back then. I felt that the victor was already decided, so there was no need to waste words. Indeed, at that time, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor had called Xiahou Wu to his side alone. His love for Xiahou Wu was already indescribable. However, there was one more thing that Xiao Chun did not mention, as he could not be bothered to explain. This was because of the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's indifferent attitude when he spoke to Xiao Chun. Since the other party did not care, naturally, Xiao Chun did not need to say anything else. "What cultivation realm did you drink it at?" the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor asked in shock. "Middle Stage Holy Venerate." After the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor heard that, he felt that it was a pity. He sighed. "What a waste, what a waste. You are too wasteful. The effects of this heartburn can only be brought out when one is at least a sovereign emperor. Only the first time you drink it will have an effect. If you drink it again, the effects will be much weaker. You will never be able to make up for this regret." Actually, Xiao Chun already knew about this. However, this heartburn allowed him to skip initial perfection sovereign personage, his advancement to small perfection sovereign personage, and the conversion of his bloodline power more or less made up for some of his losses. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor looked at the many appraisers behind him and said, "Xiao Chun, this wine is already certain to be heartburn. However, it is too precious. There is no way for everyone to taste it. I will directly name heartburn as the winner of this Wine King contest." That's how it should be, how it should be. If the 9-colored divine phoenix had not left, we might have been able to compete for it. Since Great Master Yuanfeng forfeited, it must be heartburn. Haha. Congratulations to the city lord for obtaining this fine wine. The other appraisers all agreed with the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's words. Sighs resounded in the crowd. No one had expected the final victor of the Wine King contest to be Xiao Chun. No one had expected the final victor of the Wine King contest to be Xiao Chun, whom no one had expected. This was simply unbelievable. Alright, since no one has any objections. I will fulfill my promise. Xiao Chun, this is the key to the ethereal immortal palace's treasure. Keep it first. If you have any other requests, I can agree to them as long as they are not overboard. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor looked at Xiao Chun. At the same time, a simple brocade box flew into Xiao Chen's hand before many people's fervent gazes. Xiao Chen received the brocade box. After he put it away, he looked at the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor and said, "City Lord, I would like to have City Lord protect Lord Seven's village for 100 years, preventing the bandits and the various large factions from harming it." The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor felt shocked. "This is too simple. I just need to say a word, and no one will dare to touch Old Seven's village. Consider this request a gift from me. Make another request." Given Xiao Chen's strength, he could rank among the best among sovereign emperors. No one would offend him over a village. Xiao Chen felt surprised. Unexpectedly, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor was so agreeable. He did not know what to say. What request should I make? Chapter 2055. What request should he make? His request could not be too excessive. He could not possibly ask for the extermination of all the Heavenly Slaughter sect disciples present. Many people focused their attention on Xiao Chen. They were all very concerned about what kind of request he would make. Even among Divine Vein Realm Sovereign Emperors, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor was one of the strongest. Xiao Chen even dared to slap the Hound Lion Empire's Royal Court's winemaker. Most importantly, in the Desolate Sea, Peach Blossom City was a rather special force. Peach Blossom City was also a rather special force. It did not differentiate between righteous and evil, not stopping people from coming and going. Both the righteous and demonic factions would give the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor some face. It was extremely rare for someone to make a request of the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. After a while, Xiao Chen said, "Lord City Lord, if I return to the Divine Dragon Empire one day, can you protect my life?" The moment Xiao Chen said that, everyone fell silent. Many people thought of all sorts of possibilities. However, they had not expected Xiao Chen to make such a request. Everyone here had long since figured out Xiao Chen's background. They knew that he caused a huge commotion in Divine Dragon City during the competition between the 7 outer palaces. Furthermore, he cultivated the forbidden Supreme Dragon Fist. Xiao Chen had become a thorn in the Golden Dragon bloodline's side. It was already a miracle that he managed to escape the Divine Dragon Empire. To think that Xiao Chen still wanted to return. This person was truly suicidal. Interesting. If we want to protect his life in the Divine Dragon Empire, how can we talk about merging? The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor definitely has no problem protecting himself. However, it will be difficult to protect him from the Golden Dragon bloodline. This person is really stubborn. Of all requests, he could not make such a request. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor collected many secret treasures and secret techniques. Any one of them would be a priceless treasure. To think that he wants to return. It is unknown whether he can avoid the Golden Dragon's pursuit outside. The cultivators in the City Lord's residence discussed this, feeling pity for Xiao Chen. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor remained silent for 3 seconds before saying, "I do not know if I can protect your life in the Divine Dragon Empire. Back then, when I fought with the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor, we both had our victories. If you knew about the horrifying existence behind the Golden Dragon bloodline, you might not have made such a request. However, since you raised it, I will still agree. If you really return to the Divine Dragon Empire one day, I will do my best to protect your life." There was a terrifying existence behind the Golden Divine Dragons. Xiao Chen felt slightly stunned when he heard that. To think that even the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor said that. Xiao Chen once suspected that the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor imprisoned the previous generation Heaven Dragon in the Starry Heavens Dragon Prison. This was because Xiao Chen learned a secret that he should not have known. After that, that mysterious faction got the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor to restrain the previous generation Heaven Dragon. This was because the appearance of the Heaven Dragon could raise the Divine Dragon Empire's luck. Unless it was absolutely necessary, no one would sever their own arm to imprison the Heaven Dragon. Thank you, City Lord. Before Xiao Chen could think too much, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor agreed in the end. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor nodded slightly. Then he looked at the others and said, "This time everyone brought peak quality wine. Peach Blossom City will not mistreat everyone. After this, Old Chui will pick some treasures from my treasury to give to everyone. Many thanks, City Lord. Even if they did not win the Wine King contest, they might be able to obtain a part of the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's collection. This trip was not in vain. The others all stood up and performed cupped fist salutes in thanks. This Peach Blossom gathering came to an end here. All that was left was the Peach Blossom banquet. However, just as the group prepared to take their leave, the Heavenly Slaughter Sect's young sect master suddenly said, "Brother Xiaochen, if you can trade Heartburn's recipe to me, I can let bygones be bygones for what you did to the Heavenly Slaughter Sect." The moment Xiaochen said that, the atmosphere turned somewhat strange. Originally, everyone had a tacit understanding about this topic. Since Heartburn appeared, then Xiaochen must have obtained the recipe. However, the matter of this recipe was somewhat sensitive and not suitable to be discussed in public. Now that the Heavenly Slaughter Sect's Wang Yun mentioned it in public, he clearly harbored malicious intent. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor raised his eyebrows. Then he looked at Wang Yun and said, "In Peach Blossom City, we only talk about wine and nothing else. If you are not willing to stay and drink, I can send young Master Wang out of the city." "I don't dare. I was just speaking casually." When Wang Yun saw the situation, he quickly changed the topic, not saying anything more. Clearly, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor meant that as long as Xiaochen remained in Peach Blossom City, he would protect Xiaochen. This stopped the other people who had other thoughts from thinking too much. Xiaochen smiled faintly. He had long expected that someone would bring up the recipe. Actually, before he came, he had already thought of a way to deal with this. Xiaochen stepped forward and took out the recipe. "City Lord, can you help me keep this recipe safe?" After it was exposed, this recipe would be a disaster in Xiaochen's hands. He might attract a great perfection sovereign personage, or even a sovereign emperor. The losses outweighed the gains. Xiaochen might as well do the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor a favor, and hand it over to the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. The recipe for Heartburn was written on a special beast bone. The words were similar to divine characters and could not be read or memorized. He was unable to read or memorize it. Only when he held the beast bone in his hand could he correctly read the formula. In reality, the 9-colored divine phoenix had used a similar method. The Peach Blossom City Lord felt slightly stunned before understanding. He received the recipe and took a look. Then he said, "Don't worry. It is in my hands. You can come and take it at any time." Wang Yun was greatly startled. He had not expected Xiaochen to do this. Xiaochen decisively gave up on Heartburn's recipe. Pei Xiaoxian smiled and said, "This fellow is a smart person and very decisive. If we keep it, as long as we leave Peach Blossom City, we will die within 3 days." The others all showed different expressions. Some even showed disappointment. Clearly, it would be much easier to obtain the recipe in Xiaochen's hands. In the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's hands, there was practically no chance of obtaining it. The eyes of the profound heaven's holy sun, when Renyu flickered. No one knew what he was thinking. After putting away the recipe, the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor smiled and said, "Let the banquet begin. Everyone, drink to your heart's content." The Peach Blossom banquet began. The Peach Blossom City Lord took out some of the fine wine he normally collected for the cultivators attending the Peach Blossom Wine Festival to enjoy. The bustling banquet lasted until dusk before slowly ending. Xiaochen returned to the Heavenly Fragrance's residence together with the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter. "Congratulations, young Master Xiao. It is truly rare for you to emerge victorious in the Wine King contest," the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter said with a faint smile. Chu Xiang said in admiration, "Young Master Xiao is really decisive. You gave up on the recipe of the dragon race's best wine without hesitation, not giving that Wang Yin any chance." Xiaochen said calmly, "For this recipe to land in my hands, I practically did not spend much effort. It is not a pity to give it away. Furthermore, it is not easy to brew Heartburn. Even Grandpa 7 does not have a high success rate. I was lucky to be able to brew a flask this time. Oh, by the way, I have something to ask the Holy Daughter." The Heavenly Fragrance's Holy Daughter asked, "You want to ask about the ethereal immortal palace?" There is no rush for the ethereal immortal palace for now. I would like to ask the Holy Daughter if you know the faction behind the Golden Dragon race that the city lord mentioned. It was not difficult to find out about the ethereal immortal palace. What truly concerned Xiao Chun was the existence behind the Golden Dragon race. The Heavenly Fragrance's Holy Daughter hesitated for a while before replying. Young Master Xiao will naturally know what you need to know. If you do not know now, there must be a reason. I can only say that the time is not right. Clearly, the Heavenly Fragrance's Holy Daughter knew the answer. When Chu Xiang saw Xiao Chun looking at her, she smiled bitterly and said, Young Master Xiao, don't look at me. I do not know what you are talking about. All right, the time is not right. Xiao Chun smiled helplessly and did not pursue the matter. The Heavenly Fragrance's Holy Daughter said calmly, Young Master Xiao, not pursuing the matter is actually a good thing. You will know when you need to know. There is one more thing that I need to tell you. Qin Zhuolin will come and look for you 3 days from now. He already agreed. Xiao Chun felt slightly surprised. I only passed on a message and he agreed? The Heavenly Fragrance's Holy Daughter smiled and said, Indeed. I owe young Master Xiao a favor. If you need any help, you can come and look for me at any time. As long as young Master Xiao says the word, I can help you resolve your conflict with the Heavenly Slaughter sect, getting them to stop bothering you. Xiao Chun smiled and said, I'll owe him a favor first. There is no need to trouble the Holy Daughter with such trouble. Good. It is getting late. Chu Xiang, send young Master Xiao back to rest. The Heavenly Fragrance's Holy Daughter did not say anything more. She bowed slowly and left. Chapter 2056. The Heavenly Fragrance's Holy Daughter seemed to be separated by a thin veil, preventing Xiao Chun from seeing through her. Fluttering over, fluttering away. However, Xiao Chun was already used to it. As he watched her leave, he said, This senior sister of yours is really strange. It's just a few steps away, yet she still asked you to send me off. Clearly, she could have done it herself. Chu Xiang said softly, That's how senior apprentice sister is. There are many times when you want to show concern for someone, but because of your status, you can't completely put down your airs. She could only ask me to do this on her behalf. You can just treat me as your senior sister. There's no difference. Isn't this unfair to you? You're just like a shadow. Hehe, there's no such thing as fairness or unfairness. We grew up together and are like sisters. How could I possibly fuss over such things? Hearing this, Xiao Chun's heart skipped a beat. Doesn't that mean you've seen her true appearance? Even if one felt the Heavenly Fragrance's Holy Daughter's appearance, one could clearly see it. However, the scene that appeared in his mind was always separated by a thin layer of fog. It was extremely strange. Basically, everyone who saw the Heavenly Fragrance's Holy Daughter would be curious about her. Chu Xiang smiled and said, Of course I have. Actually, you have seen it too. However, senior sister is currently cultivating heart force. Those who have not grasped heart force will not be able to retain her appearance in their hearts. Heart force. Xiao Chun had some understanding of heart force. The Scarlet Blood Pirate King had comprehended heart force. Furthermore, he had used his peerless talent to write the Heavenly Heart Art, which allowed people who could not comprehend heart force to use their soul energy and quintessence to create a simplified version of heart flame. One could not cultivate heart force. One could only rely on comprehension ability. The Scarlet Blood Pirate King comprehended it only after advancing to Divine Vein Realm. This Heavenly Fragrance's Holy Daughter actually comprehended heart force at such a young age. This was truly shocking. This is a secret. No one else knows about it. I can tell you everything that I know. However, I truly do not know what sort of existence is behind the Divine Golden Dragon bloodline. Chu Xiang shrugged, indicating that she was indeed unable to help. Xiao Chun, on the other hand, was a little embarrassed. He smiled and said, It's fine. I'm already here. There's no need to send me off. All right, see you tomorrow. If you're not in a hurry to leave, we can continue to spar. All right. At night, the blood moon hung high in the sky, and there were no stars in the sky. Aside from the blood moon, There were no stars in the desolate sea's night sky. Just as Xiao Chun was about to sleep, he suddenly recalled the brocade box he obtained during the day, the key to the immortal palace. Let's see what it is first. Xiao Chun took out the brocade box, opened it, and immediately saw an ancient key shaped like a sword. There were some fine handwriting on the key. Xiao Chun took a closer look. When he saw that the inscriptions were actually divine characters, he gave up on the idea of continuing to look at it. Divine characters could not be memorized or read. The special recipe for heartburn was a simplified version derived from the divine characters. Only by holding the animal bone in his hand could he read and memorize it. I wonder what use it has. Is the misty immortal palace related to immortals? After pondering for a moment, Xiao Chun was still clueless. Thus, he placed it back into the brocade box before placing it back into his storage ring. Looking at the blood moon outside the window, he lay on the bed and let his imagination run wild for a while before he gradually fell asleep. When a thick layer of clouds covered the blood moon, outside the heavenly fragrance's residence, a figure covered himself up so tightly that only a pair of eyes could be seen. This figure looked at the sky and took out a talisman. After the talisman burned, his figure started to turn immaterial until it completely vanished. This was very similar to the void talisman that Xiao Chun and Jiang He used in the Yinwu dynasty's soaring dragon city. After the figure immaterialized, the black figure silently passed through the many restrictions of the heavenly fragrance's residence. Then he entered Xiao Chun's courtyard. In the dead of night, no one expected that someone had already sneaked into Xiao Chun's courtyard. Furthermore, that person arrived at Xiao Chun's bedroom. After the black figure entered the bedroom, his figure slowly revealed itself. However, that person seemed to have another treasure on him. It was similar to the death god mask, isolating his aura, making it hard to detect. The black figure's gaze locked on Xiao Chun's storage ring, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. Then he formed hand seals with both hands, and took out a palm-sized astrolabe. As the astrolabe spun, his soul energy immediately turned into thousands of strands that slowly seeped into Xiao Chun's storage ring. The infiltration process was extremely difficult. Furthermore, he did not dare to startle Xiao Chun. The black-clothed man appeared to be cautious and extremely patient. An entire hour passed, and he did not move at all. Success. A strand of soul energy finally succeeded in seeping into Xiao Chun's storage ring. Then, the black-clad person closed his eyes and did his best to recall what the brocade box that the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor gave Xiao Chun looked like. After a while, the black-clad person's soul energy detected a spot of bright light in the pitch-black storage space. The bright light disappeared in a flash. However, in this 1,000th of a second, the black-clad person's soul energy quickly wrapped around it. The black-clad person pulled, and an incredible scene appeared. The brocade box in Xiao Chun's storage ring actually appeared in the black-clad person's hand. Joy flashed in the black-clad person's eyes as he quickly opened it in excitement. However, the instant the black-clad person opened the brocade box, the ethereal immortal palace key flew away from his eyes. The black-clad person saw that Xiao Chun had woken up at some point in time, firmly grasping the ethereal immortal palace key. The black-clad person cursed in his heart. Then he turned around and left through the window, not lingering at all. However, Xiao Chun was no slower than the black-clad person. The black-clad person turned into a flash of lightning and instantly gave chase. Whoosh! After revealing himself, Xiao Chun snorted coldly and instantly drew his tyrant saber. A saber light lit up the night sky, firmly locking onto this black-clad person. Damn it! The black-clad person discovered that he could not dodge this saber strike. Helpless, he could only turn around and send out a palm strike. The palm light and the saber light clashed. In that instant, the courtyard supported by the formation shook somewhat. They were also on the verge of collapse, continuously stirring up commotion. Boom. It was also at this moment that the heavenly fragrance palace, which was originally pitch black, suddenly became brightly lit, as bright as day. More than 100 heavenly fragrance disciples appeared from the various pavilions, charging at the black-clad person with weapons in hand. Dodge. With Xiao Chun delaying him, the black-clad person looked like he was about to fall into an encirclement. So he roared, no longer suppressing his strength. The black-clad person unleashed his aura, erupting with startling and terrifying might. Then he sent out a mountain-like palm image. Before the many heavenly fragrance disciples could close in, this person's palm strike knocked them back. It looked like this black-clad person was about to flee. Just as Xiao Chen was about to give chase, a figure descended from the tallest pavilion in the residence. This figure looked like an immortal, and knocked this person back. After suffering this attack, the black-clad person's aura weakened significantly. Clearly, he was severely injured. Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter, you are actually so strong. The strength that the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter burst out with seemed extremely surprised, shock flashing in his eyes. However, you still can't stop me. As the black-clad person spoke, his body started to fade into nothing, slowly fading away. Void Image Talisman? The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter frowned slightly. In the end, she was too late. When Xiao Chen discovered this person, he had already activated the Void Image Talisman. However, the holy daughter was not willing to let this person off. Her figure soared up and gave chase under the moonlight. The Void Image Talisman had a time limit. This person could not remain hidden forever. As long as he revealed some clues, she would have a chance to catch him. Xiao Chen, are you all right? Chu Xiang asked out of concern as she arrived beside Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen sheathed his saber and replied softly, I'm fine. If he wanted to kill me, I would have died already. That's why he came. The ethereal immortal palace key? Xiao Chen nodded. Fortunately, I left a mark on this key during the day. The instant he opened the brocade box, I noticed it. Even so, Xiao Chen still felt some lingering fear. This person came to his room without a sound. If he really wanted to kill him, he would not be able to do so. If he really wanted to kill Xiao Chen, it would be hard to say whether he could survive or not. It looked like he could not let down his guard even though he was in the Heavenly Fragrance's residence. He could not be so lucky every time. Sorry, I nearly killed you. To think that this person even dared to barge into the Heavenly Fragrance's residence. Chu Xiang said somewhat apologetically. It's fine. Xiao Chen entered deep thought, finding this strange. Who could this person be? The Ice Snow Mountain Manners Yihan? The Heavenly Slaughter Sex Wang Yin? The Blood Flame Sex Pei Xiaoxian? Or perhaps the Profound Heaven's Holy Son, Wen Rinyu? Many candidates appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. All of them were suspicious, but he could not match them up. It was even possible that none of these people were Xiao Chen. It looked like some people's desire for the ethereal immortal palace key far surpassed his expectations. This person even dared to barge into the Heavenly Fragrance's residence. He wondered if the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter could catch up to him. Chapter 2057. When dawn was about to arrive, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter returned alone. Senior sister, you failed to catch him? The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter said softly. An expert obstructed me along the way, so I lost him. Young Master Xiao, are you injured? Xiao Chen shook his head and repeated what he told Chu Xiang. Who do you think that person is? Xiao Chen asked in the end. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter replied helplessly. I can't figure it out. However, we should have met this person before. He purposely hid his familiar martial techniques. Otherwise, I would not have injured him so easily. If I guessed right, he should be one of the people participating in the Wine King contest on the tall platform. As for who it is, I am not sure. This person had a treasure that could isolate his aura, and purposely hid his identity. It would be difficult to find him. It was already very difficult for the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter to narrow the search to 9 people. If Xiao Chen had to ask who it was, the first person he thought of would be the Ice Snow Mountain Manners Yihan. This person desired the ethereal palace's key, and even took the initiative to seek Xiao Chen out. Perhaps Xiao Chen's vague attitude at that time made Yihan feel that there was no hope of obtaining it through a transaction. Hence, Yihan took the risk to come to the Heavenly Fragrance's residence to plunder it. However, is he really that strong? Xiao Chen knew that the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter comprehended heart force. It would be difficult for Yi Han to escape from her hands. Aside from Xiao Chun, there were also the profound heaven's holy son Wen Renyu, the heavenly slaughter sects Wang Yin, Xiahou Wu, and Pei Shaoxian. Does young Master Xiao have a candidate in mind? Xiao Chun recovered his wits and replied, I do not. Actually, it does not matter. Even if I guessed it, I cannot do anything to these people without evidence. As long as he does not give up on his evil intentions, he will fall into my hands sooner or later. Holy daughter, can you explain to me what kind of place this ethereal immortal palace is, and what is the use of the key? After some thought, the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter asked, Do you know how many grades of soul tools there are? Xiao Chun knew this. He answered casually, Soul tools are divided into 3 grades: inferior grade, medial grade, and superior grade. Regular rank 6 sects had inferior grade soul tools. Only rank 7 sects and factions could control medial grade soul tools. As for superior grade soul tools, only the holy lands and dynasties could control them. The Qiongqi Beast Ghost Pennant and the God Shadow Bow in Xiao Chen's hands were both medial grade soul tools, carefully chosen by the Scarlet Blood Pirate King. It was extremely rare. Even among medial grade soul tools, it was one of the best. Under normal circumstances, Xiao Chen would not dare to take out these 2 soul tools. If news of them leaked out, it would bring him great trouble. Wrong. Rank 4? The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter corrected Xiao Chun. 4th class. Right. Aside from inferior grade, medial grade, and superior grade, there are also transcendent grade soul tools. Xiao Chun asked in confusion. What does this have to do with the immortal palace key? Legend has it that the ethereal immortal palace hid a transcendent grade soul tool. After the heavenly realm shattered, divine tools no longer existed in the martial epoch. A transcendent grade soul artifact is the strongest artifact in the world. Any force that possesses it will immediately become a holy land, or even surpass it. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter continued. 100,000 years ago, the blood-soaked dragon emperor used this transcendent grade soul tool to defeat and seal the unparalleled Black Dragon King, ending the war between righteous factions and demonic factions. The blood-soaked dragon emperor once used this soul tool? Startled, Xiao Chun quickly searched through the vast blood-soaked dragon emperor's memories for any transcendent grade soul tools. The blood-soaked dragon emperor's memories were too vast. If one did not have any crucial clues, one would not be able to search for them rashly. He might not be able to find any useful information even after a year and a half. The transcendent grade soul tool that the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter had given him was different. Soon, Xiao Chun found some useful memories. He could not help asking, Are you talking about the wings of time? You actually know. That's right, it was the wings of time. Back then, the Black Dragon King had been insufferably arrogant. He had used the destruction dragon flame to burn down the world tree. He caused the heavenly realm to lose its source of energy and collapse in an instant. All the martial gods were severely injured, and their strength plummeted. Nearly no one was a match for him. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter felt somewhat surprised to think that Xiao Chun knew such a secret. However, when she thought about how he was a member of the dragon race, she understood. After a pause, she continued, The righteous Dao factions worked together to gather the divine Aeon steel fragments and forge the wings of time that could reverse time. Then, they helped the blood-soaked dragon emperor defeat the Black Dragon King, ending the previous war between righteous factions and demonic factions. Xiao Chun remained calm and collected as he continued searching for information about the wings of time in the blood-soaked dragon emperor's memories. He finally found it. After the Black Dragon King was sealed, there was no longer a need for the wings of time. Because the wings of time were too strong, the various holy lands feared them, so the blood-soaked dragon emperor continued to hold the wings of time. The blood-soaked dragon emperor understood this principle, so he returned the wings of time. The various holy lands refined an immortal sect remnant to seal the wings of time. This immortal sect remnant was the ethereal immortal palace. After that, the blood-soaked dragon emperor lost his memories. In the battle with the Black Dragon King, the blood-soaked dragon emperor also suffered irreparable injuries, and vanished 100 years later. Xiaochen looked at the ethereal immortal palace key in his hand, and immediately felt incredibly heavy. Don't tell me that this ethereal immortal palace key is the key to opening the ethereal immortal palace? If that were the case, why did the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor give him away as a prize? The Wings of Time was a transcendent grade soul tool. Why did he not open the ethereal immortal palace himself? The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter smiled and said, "That's right. This is indeed the key to opening the ethereal immortal palace." However, what? Xiaochen asked. However, it is useless even if you have this key. No one knows where the ethereal immortal palace is now. Furthermore, there are a total of 7 keys. Some of them are already missing. The most important inheritance key has not appeared in the world for tens of thousands of years. Xiaochen felt somewhat speechless. In that case, isn't my key useless? That is natural. Otherwise, why would the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor give away such a precious item? However, it is not completely useless. Did you notice the divine characters carved on it? If you use the divine characters to cultivate soul energy, you can achieve twice the result with half the effort. It is actually very useful to you, who just advanced to sovereign personage. The divine characters could indeed cultivate soul energy. Back then, Xiaochen relied on reading the divine characters to temper his will of soul to the level of a great perfection sovereign personage. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter's words reminded Xiaochen of something. While it was useless to the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor, it was very useful to Xiaochen. However, Xiaochen thought for a while before saying, "What is the purpose of that black figure coming to my room and stealing my key?" At the mention of this matter, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter's expression turned somewhat grave. I hope that he just wants to rely on the key to raise his soul energy. What if that is not the case? The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter remained silent for a long time before sighing. If that is not the case, then there will be great trouble. It will be a boundless calamity that will affect the entire martial epoch. A transcendent grade soul tool like the Wings of Time should not have appeared in the world. Xiaochen understood that the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter was not exaggerating. If someone really opened the doors to the ethereal immortal palace, and the Wings of Time appeared, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter's words would break. The fragile balance between the righteous Tao and the demonic Tao would immediately break. The previous great war between the righteous factions and the demonic factions had already destroyed the heavenly realm, severely weakening the martial epoch. If there was another great war between the righteous factions and the demonic factions, it would be hard to say whether the martial epoch would still exist. It would not be an exaggeration to call it a calamity. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter said after some thought. However, don't overthink. I don't believe that someone can gather all 7 keys. No one even knows what the inheritance key looks like. The ethereal immortal palace is like its name. It will probably remain ethereal forever. Xiaochen thought about it, and felt that this was a groundless worry. It was just a black figure coming to steal the key. Yet the two connected it to the calamity of the martial epoch. As they spoke, the sky turned bright without them realizing it. When the sun rose, the blazing sun shone with a fiery light and shone on the Heavenly Fragrance's residence. Such an intense sun only existed in the desolate sea. Your Highness the Holy Daughter, Senior Cui is here. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's reward for young Master Xiao is also here. Just at this moment, a Heavenly Fragrance disciple came to report. Xiaochen felt slightly surprised. He recalled that the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor said yesterday that anyone who entered the Wine King contest could obtain one of his treasures. Unexpectedly, Xiaochen had one as well. I'm looking for you. I won't be going. The Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter smiled faintly and took her leave. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor truly lived up to his character. He had never thought of taking advantage of Xiaochen, returning the recipe. However, it helped him shoulder all the danger. Everyone knew that Xiaochen had publicly given the recipe to Peach Blossom City. However, they did not know that he had secretly given it to Xiaochen. Going back and forth had saved Xiaochen a lot of trouble. As for the other jade slip, Xiaochen placed it on his forehead, and many cryptic mantras entered his mind. It was the rare eye technique, the candle dragon eyes. Xiaochen used his ice great Tao energy and soul energy at the same time to imitate the candle dragon eyes. Once he activated it, he could seal his opponent in ice. It could seal not just the physical body but the soul as well. This was both an eye technique and a soul technique. Its offensive power was extremely strong, catching others off guard. Think about it. In the middle of a battle, the opponent was imprisoned by you. Even if he could freeze his opponent for only 1 second, it would be sufficient for Xiaochen to kill his opponent hundreds of times. The scarier thing was that even if this eye technique broke the ice seal, the candle dragon eyes would keep an eye on the other party, interfering with the other party's movement technique and veritable essence energy circulation. The only flaw of this eye technique was that it was somewhat troublesome to execute. It was very hard to execute instantly. However, this candle dragon eyes was very suitable for Xiaochen. It looked like the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor could tell that Xiaochen had 3 Great Tao. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor used the Ice Great Tao less, so he chose this eye technique for Xiaochen to make use of the Ice Great Tao. With the dragon race bloodline, it would be much easier for Xiaochen to execute this eye technique, achieving twice the results with half the effort. When the sun set, Cui Lao returned to the Heavenly Fragrance's residence and informed Xiaochen and Chu Xiang of the results of his probing. The Heavenly Slaughter Sect's Wang Yin is missing. A Heavenly Slaughter Sect elder received the items on his behalf. The Ice Snow Mountain Manor's Yihan already left the city. Pei Xiaoxian seems to be injured. He said that something went wrong while he was cultivating. Aside from these 3, the others are rather normal and are not suspicious. Xiaochen entered deep thought. Then he asked, "What about the profound heaven's holy son Wenrinyu? This person should be the least suspicious. He took the initiative to stay and chat with me for a long time. I did not notice anything strange," Cui Lao said honestly, not hiding anything. Chu Xiang said, "It looks like the suspects are Wang Yin, Yihan, and Pei Xiaoxian. Pei Xiaoxian is the most suspicious. Once something goes wrong in a demonic Tao sect, the backlash is extremely severe. He should be recuperating in closed-door cultivation. Why would he need to come out personally?" Xiaochen remained silent, not saying anything. Could it be Pei Xiaoxian? If so, this person is rather horrifying. He appears crazy on the surface, but he is so scheming. In the following days, Xiaochen had the innate fragrance disciples send Iron Egg back alone. Then he remained in the Heavenly Fragrance's residence. During the day he sparred with Xiaochen, practicing his saber techniques. At night, he practiced his eye technique, the candle dragon eyes. Once he succeeded, this eye technique would become a powerful killing move that rivaled the divine lightning eye. 7 days later, Xiaochen said goodbye to the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter and left the residence. Before Xiaochen left, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter said, "Young Master Xiao, please take care of yourself. If you need help, you can contact me at any time." "Many thanks." Chu Xiang said somewhat reluctantly, "How unfortunate. I do not know when we can meet again after parting with young Master Xiao this time." Xiaochen smiled and said, "Tell me how to get to the Heavenly Fragrance. I can go and see you." The location of the Heavenly Fragrance Holy Land had always been a mystery. No one knew. Even during the previous war between the righteous factions and demonic factions, the Black Dragon King had searched many times but returned empty-handed. Xiaochen's words were just a form of mockery. "In your dreams." Chu Xiang covered her mouth as she laughed. Her laughter was as melodious and pleasing as before. "Goodbye. Chu Xiang, help me send young Master Xiao off." Chu Xiang sent Xiaochen out of the Peach Blossom Garden. Then, Xiaochen grew increasingly smaller in her vision until he vanished. Only then did Chu Xiang sigh and turn to leave. The return journey was much smoother than Xiaochen imagined. The journey was calm and peaceful. Aside from some blind ferocious beasts in the desolate sea, there were no other disturbances. There were no surprises or dangers. 7 days later, the Azure Mountain appeared before Xiaochen. The ancient and mysterious Azure Mountain rose steeply from the ground, enduring thousands of years of worship from the surrounding villages for 5,000 kilometers around. The ancient and mysterious green mountain rose steeply from the ground, enduring the worship of the surrounding villages for thousands of years. The momentum that was originally rising came to an abrupt halt at the peak of the mountain. The azure mountain was still there, but where was the dragon's head? When Xiao Chun reached the azure mountain, the village would be close. He would be able to rush back before sunset. The journey was overly peaceful. However, Xiao Chun was not used to it. Originally, he thought that even if the black figure did not seek trouble for him, the Hound Lion Empire's crown prince, Xiahou Wu, and the heavenly slaughter sect's Wang Yun would not let him off so easily. Along the way, Xiao Chun was very cautious, not daring to be careless. Who knew? The two did not make a move. After thinking about it, there was only one possibility. The heavenly fragrance's holy daughter secretly helped him deal with this matter. Otherwise, given Wang Yun and Xiahou Wu's characters, they would not easily seek trouble for him. This is good. Xiao Chun withdrew his gaze and returned his attention to the azure mountain. Whoosh! Gently pushing off with his feet, Xiao Chun's figure moved like lightning, heading for the azure mountain. This mountain seemed to have a magical power. Every time, it would attract Xiao Chun's attention. After looking at it for a while, he could not help rushing over. 10 kilometers away from the azure mountain, Xiao Chun stopped. Xiao Chun recalled the strange encounter when he first touched the azure mountain, and the uncontrollable demonic qi covering his body when he climbed to the summit. The more taboo something was, the more it tugged at one's heartstrings. Xiao Chun considered himself a calm person. However, when facing the taboo mountain, he found it hard to suppress the impulse in his heart. After hesitating for a while, Xiao Chun raised his feet and walked over step by step. Xiao Chun could cross the distance of 10 kilometers in the blink of an eye. However, Xiao Chun walked very slowly. A strange force field spread around the entire azure mountain. The air was filled with hatred, rage, killing intent, pain, and other negative emotions. Among them, despair was the heaviest. In the eyes of ordinary people, this should be an out-and-out demonic mountain. However, Xiao Chun's intuition told him that there was something strange here, hiding a startling secret. Don't touch it. Just as Xiao Chun was about to touch the azure mountain again, someone stretched out a hand from behind and placed it on his shoulder. Chapter 2059. The atmosphere near the azure mountain was strange in the first place. Suddenly, someone appeared and patted Xiao Chun's shoulder. Xiao Chun, who already felt nervous, immediately turned around and threw a palm strike as if he faced a great enemy. Bang! The two palms clashed, and Xiao Chun knocked that person back. When he landed, he paled slightly and grimaced in pain, appearing extremely unbearable. Qin Zhuolin. When Xiao Chun saw this person's appearance, he felt startled. Why is he here? He hurriedly flew forward and walked over with quick steps. Are you all right? Qin Zhuolin smiled bitterly and said, It has only been half a year, and your strength has increased a little too much. This is truly incredible. Half a year ago, Xiao Chun was still a holy venerate. When they met again, Xiao Chun had already broken through the shackles of sovereign personage, surpassing initial perfection sovereign personage, and reaching small perfection sovereign personage. This is all thanks to the heartburn you gave me. I don't know whether to thank you or blame you. Heartburn can only be used once in my lifetime, and I wasted it at the holy venerate realm. Without the accumulations of heartburn, it would have been very difficult for Xiao Chun to break through to small perfection sovereign personage in one go. Qin Zhuolin smiled abashedly and said, I did not expect heartburn to be so strong. Sorry. Since you hit me earlier, we are even, right? Let's not talk about this. Why are you here? I've been waiting for you for a few days already. Let's talk after we return to the village. All right. When Xiao Chun returned to the village, the villagers welcomed him like he was a hero, welcoming him warmly. Iron Egg, who had returned early, had already told everyone about Xiao Chun winning the Wine King contest. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor had already declared that anyone who dared to touch their village within 100 years would become an enemy of Peach Blossom City. Given the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor's strength and prestige, the villagers would no longer have to worry about bandits or demonic Dao factions invading them. They no longer had to worry about the thing that they feared the most. How could they not be happy? After the commotion, Xiao Chun, Sang, and Qin Zhuolin gathered together. What exactly is the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter looking for you for help? Xiao Chun asked. Qin Zhuolin took a sip of wine and said after some thought. She wants me to help her find the corpse of the previous Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter and bring back a jade pendant. Xiao Chen's thoughts raced and he quickly guessed. The body of the previous generation's saintess should be in an underground tomb somewhere. Otherwise, she wouldn't have asked for your help. Smart. Even the Holy Lord of Tianxiang wouldn't dare to enter this place. The stronger one is, the greater the danger. Qin Zhuolin smiled faintly. Then he looked at Xiao Chun and said, "Guess where the remains are? It's just outside the village, under that well. These few days, if you have nothing to do, go there." Before Xiao Chun could say anything, Sang spoke up from the side. "Really?" Qin Zhuolin said awkwardly. "Indeed. The corpse of the previous Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter is in that well. 50 years ago, the Heaven Dragon of your dragon clan seemed to have discovered a shocking secret in this place. Not only did it attract the attention of many people, but it also offended someone that it should not have offended. When it fled into the well, many people who did not know what was going on wanted to follow and take a look. In the end, they were all trapped in there. The infamy of this well spread throughout the desolate sea. From then on, it became one of the most horrifying forbidden lands in the desolate sea." Xiao Chun remained silent. Indeed, he had not expected the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter to do something related to this well. After a long time, Xiao Chun said, "I went into this well before." "You came out?" This time, it was Qin Zhuolin's turn to be shocked. He looked at Xiao Chun and said, "This is really shocking. In the past, there were fearless geomasters who wanted to go in and check it out. However, no one came out." Xiao Chun raised his wine cup and drained it in one go. Then he revealed an expression of lingering fear. After some thought, he said, "There is a heavenly Tao killing formation inside. The killing formation perfectly blends with the environment, preventing people from feeling any danger. Everyone who died in there showed shock on their faces, not knowing how they died. I did not go too deep and only managed to come out due to some fortuitous encounters." Xiao Chun told Qin Zhuolin everything that happened that day, holding nothing back. After Qin Zhuolin heard that, he thought for a long time. Then he smiled bitterly and said, "To think that it is a heavenly Tao killing formation. Had I known, I would not have agreed to her request. It looks like the Heavenly Fragrance Holy Land's people went down before. However, they were already scared out of their wits. Brother Qin, can you tell me honestly how much do you know about this place?" Xiao Chun asked directly as he looked at Qin Zhuolin, not wanting to beat around the bush. Be it the azure mountain that had lost its dragon head, or the mysterious and unfathomable ancient well, Xiao Chun urgently wanted to know the answer. He had a feeling that as long as he solved these two mysteries, he would be able to figure out why the blue dragon race was destroyed. Qin Zhuolin was stunned for a while. Then he said, "I don't know much either. I only heard from my master that the desolate sea was not like this in the past. In the past, desolate slaves could be seen roaming the desolate sea even during the day. Look at how desolate the desolate sea is now, right? The desolate sea used to be even scarier and more dilapidated than this. The corpses and blood of the righteous and demonic sects turned this place into hell on earth. However, because of two people, because of their fight, the entire desolate sea's terrain changed." Xiao Chun asked, "Which two people?" The desolate sea was vast and boundless, even larger than the eastern region and northern region combined. Just because of a fight between two people, the landscape had completely changed. Just how powerful was that person? One was the dragon race's dragon emperor Xiaoyun, and the other was a mysterious existence without a name. Dragon Emperor Xiaoyun? There doesn't seem to be such a dragon emperor. I once checked the dragon race's records of emperors, and there was no such dragon emperor. Xiao Chen's memory was not bad. If this person was truly strong, he should have a deep impression of him. There isn't? I don't know about that, either. My master told me. My sect only has a single inheritor, so my master should not lie to me. However, that does not matter. I will only tell you what I know. Xiaochen nodded and said speak. For some reason, this dragon emperor Xiao Yun wanted to sacrifice the entire desolate sea. TSK. Think about it. Back then, the war between the righteous and demonic factions had just ended. Who knows how many sovereign emperor and foe god corpses were buried in the desolate sea. There were even more sovereign personage corpses. If he really succeeded in the blood sacrifice, how horrifying would it be? So someone came to stop him, and the two started fighting. Qin Zhuolin continued, no one knows who won. In any case, the desolate sea became like this after that. Xiaochen entered deep thought. After a while he asked, what does this have to do with this place? My master speculated that this towering mountain might be the totem that Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun set up back then, using the totem as the formation core. Then he used the entire desolate sea as the formation core, and carried out the blood sacrifice. Qin Zhuolin smiled and said, of course that master of mine is not very reliable. What he said is something passed down by his ancestors. Take Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun for example. Even you said that there was no such thing, so don't take it too seriously. I really don't believe that someone could use the entire desolate sea as the formation core, and lay a blood sacrifice formation. How strong would that person have to be? However, I'm only telling you what I know. Hey Xiaochun? As Qin Zhuolin spoke, he discovered that Xiaochun was in a daze, not listening to him at all. Sang saw some clues and already guessed some things. The Emperor record did not have any records of Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun. However, that did not mean that there was no such Dragon Emperor in the Divine Dragon Empire's history. If this Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun was the Blue Dragon race's Dragon Emperor, then everything made sense. Xiaochen must have guessed this, which was why he was in a daze. What are you thinking about? Xiaochen recovered his wits and said, nothing. Go on, go on. Flabbergasted, Qin Zhuolin said, I already said everything. What else do you want me to say? Feeling somewhat embarrassed, Xiaochen could only change the topic. Who exactly is the person who fought with Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun? Qin Zhuolin shrugged and said, who knows? There are always some people in the Great Thousand Realms who hide their strength. Take you for example. Who could imagine that you were just a holy venerate half a year ago? Now you are already a small perfection sovereign personage. Now that the topic returned to himself, Xiaochen stopped asking. However, he felt exceptionally curious about Qin Zhuolin's identity. To think that Qin Zhuolin knew such a secret in such detail. Since you are here, I will not linger. After drinking this cup of wine, I will be going down. I hope that I can return alive. Qin Zhuolin said resolutely as he drained the wine in one go. Qin Zhuolin downed the wine in one go and put down the wine cup. He still wants to go to the Cold Een Springs ancient well. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.